Happy Sunday, everyone. What's going on? What's going on? Elliot here with our live after show for episode 3 of The Idol, which was titled Daybreak, y'all. Daybreak, episode 3. And we're going to get into my thoughts here, but I will say up top, this was maybe the best episode of the series so far, while having elements of being one of the worst at the same time. But there were some moments that I genuinely was like, okay, there's depth, there's complexity, there's layers, there's actually some character development going on here. So I'm very intrigued to get you guys' thoughts on tonight's episode and break it all down as we have been doing the last few weeks. And before we do so, man, hey, like I said up top, happy Sunday, y'all. I hope you're having a great Sunday so far. Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful fathers out there, even my dog dads like myself. But happy Father's Day, happy Sunday. Hope you all had a great weekend. I'm going to have my guest who's been joining me the last few weeks join me here, I think in the next 5 or 6 minutes or so, which is 9 from 9 Nerd Yards. But before we get him in, man, I'm going to chop it up, check in with you guys, see what you've been up to. Let me know in the comments as I'll read them down. What was your weekend? What did it consist of? Was there any flashing going on? Did you see the Flash this weekend? Was there any other movies or shows you guys caught up with? And of course, we'll get into tonight's episode when we get there. But just let me know what you guys been up to this weekend, man. As I always do, I appreciate you guys joining me every Sunday. This is our 3rd week in a row. And if you guys followed this from the beginning, I said I would give this 3 episodes. 3 episodes. And we're on episode 3. And there was just enough meat on the bone to make me want to see where this goes. Again, we're going to get into some of the ridiculousness, but there was some good stuff that was going on. So I will be we'll be continuing the show since we're halfway through the season anyway. But what's up? Let me see. Let me get into the chat. See what you guys have been talking about. See what you guys been up to this weekend. Let's see, my man BD in the building. We got Zia in the building. What's going on? What is that? Tedros? We're gonna get to Tedros in the car scene and the store scene. Anyway, what's going on, Zia? What's up, Den? How we doing, Paris? What's going on, everyone? What's up, Nikki? Everyone in the chat. Sam, what's up? Simone, what's up? What's going on, everyone? Sam, you guys are awesome, man. But yeah, man, let me know, like I said, before we get my guests in and we break down this 3rd episode, what was the weekend like for you guys? Was there a movie, show, a fun event you guys went to over the weekend? Let me know, and we'll see what you guys been up to. Hey, finally caught it live. Well, thank you, Nikki. I'm so glad you're able to join me. And yes, then 100% happy Mother's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the great dads out there. Sam was saying best breakdowns of the best TV shows. Thank you, Sam. I don't know if you're referring to this show being the best, but the other shows we cover on the channel, I appreciate it, Sam. Really do. What Nikki talking about? Big Nashville. Nice. Very cool. God, that's awesome. I've never been out to the Carolinas. I would love to one day. But shout out to your dad, Nikki. And that was awesome. We got to see him out in Nashville, South Carolina. BD, that was so smooth. Let me tell you a little secret, BD. So back in the day, my friend, your boy used to be in the choir. I used to be in the church choir back in the day before, the maturity and the deep voice came in. But no, man, believe it or not, I used to be in the choir back in the day. I used to think I could sing, but like I said, unfortunately, that came and went. But good to see you, BD. I just finished Black Mirror. I got to catch up on Black Mirror. I was so psyched to see this new season. Haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet. Voice is saying happy Father's Day to all the human papas, dog, and cats. Yep, definitely. And I am a dog dad, so shout out to all the dog dads out there. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that stress and how you doing tonight, by the way. What we had this weekend? We had graduation, we had a cookout, we had some black. Ooh, that sounds like a fire weekend. That sounds so much fun. Let's see. I believe I could fly. I'm gonna hold y'all off the ear bleeding, so I won't be singing tonight. Ray J, I feel like Tedros is supposed to be comedic joke of a creep. And if there's a weekend, yeah, we'll there are moments for sure where it's just, and we'll get into it. There's a portion in this episode that I thought, okay, weekend, okay, I see what you're doing, I see what you're delivering, and I'm liking it. But there's also moments where I'm just like, man, this ain't the weekend. This is a weekday. The performance is just not hidden on a lot of levels. But there were some moments that I definitely was very, and I'll say this as we'll break it down. There was a moment or two where I can't believe I'm gonna say this. There was a moment or two in tonight's episode where do I say this? I was on Tedros' side. Can't believe I came out of my mouth. Yeah, we will get to that. There was two moments that tonight I watched. I'm like, I don't like that I'm agreeing with him right now, and we'll get into those two moments a little bit later. But yeah. Black Mirror was dark this season. Yeah, I've heard it was pretty interesting. The first episode, I heard was intriguing. And there was a couple other episodes that I heard was great. So yeah, I'm gonna have to find some time and peep it out. Can't wait to get into the rat tail. You never trust someone with a rat tail, right? This episode was definitely better than the previous two, but the show is still pretty bad compared to you. Yeah. Nothing, no performance, no scene, no nothing in this show so far has got to the levels of the Euphoria to me as far as performance, writing, and all that stuff. So I definitely agree with you there, my friend. Nikki's saying definitely you say, yeah, man, weekday. That's what we call them in this show. Not yeah, the sex scenes were something else. So it seemed like a lot of you all was catching up on Black Mirror. For me, this weekend consisted of chilling, really. Did I watch anything? Oh, well, if there's any Marvel fans out there, shout out to the MCU. I did get a chance to check out the first two episodes of Secret Invasion, and I will be recording a review tomorrow for episodes 1 and 2. Now the show premieres on Wednesday, so I'll be talking episode 1 spoilers with a special guest, and then we're going to record episode 2 at the same time. So if there's any Marvel fans out there, definitely circle the calendar. I think Secret Invasion is a show worth talking about, and we'll probably have some type of after show reviews for that as well. So besides that, I was kicking it, man. Shot a review for Indiana Jones today, and just hit the reset button and just chilled this weekend. But I guess I missed out on Black Mirror. I totally forgot to check that out tonight. But our guest, my man Nan, should be joining us here hopefully in a little bit, and we'll get into tonight's festivities and commentary, pros and cons, and everything in between. But in the meanwhile, if you guys are just tuning in, again, I want to thank you all for joining me on this after show for episode 3 of The Idol. And like I said, for those who are just tuning in, and we'll get more in depth in a second here, I think it's safe to say that this was the best episode of the season thus far, for multiple different reasons. One being there was actually like some depth to the scenes and some character development that I really was like really invested in. And I gotta say, there were, I'll say it again, there were some Tedros moments where I sided with him on some moments in this episode that I was surprised by. So while it was probably the best episode, there were definitely some moments that I scratched my head, rolled my eyes, and just so close to hitting that turn off button at times in this show. But generally speaking, I really had some really the best moments in this season so far has come from tonight's episode that we'll talk about. But we will break it down here in a second. But in the meanwhile, let me check in, see what other commentary you guys are talking about here. Let's see, Nikki. Yes, Marvel live streams have been missed. Can't wait. Yeah, I don't know if there'll be live streams, Nikki, but there will definitely be some type of coverage surrounding Secret Invasion because based on the first 2 episodes, this is definitely a show worth investing. I would definitely say that. Don't we all? It's all his traps. Yeah. Let's see. Stretch talking about. Wonder if him and Destiny can come through and take Tedros head on. We will see. Do they have the firepower? Do they have the determination to take out Tedros? Destiny sure do. She was awesome. I love that character so far. Too many of the the car situation, the mall situation or the store situation. I'm like, this is unnecessary. I mean, they can, glitz and glamour and live in that lifestyle, but to have like public scenes like that. With it was we'll get to those here in a little bit. But before we do, my man is in the back room that I'm going to bring him in here in a little bit. But again, guys, before we get into tonight's conversation, if you guys could do your boy a favor and consider hitting the like button on the video, consider sharing the video. More importantly, we are live, so definitely leave your commentary in the comment section. I'm going to try to get to it as often as I can. And more importantly, man, let's just have some fun tonight. So speaking of fun, I've had so much fun with this individual joining me the last few weeks on Succession and now The Idol, and he's here joining me tonight. You know him, you love him. Talking about the one and only Nine from Nine Nerd Yards. What's going on, my man? Oh,
Hey, what's happening? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Where's the man Nine at? There he is.
Hey, there
There
I
he
am.
is. What's up, Nine? How we doing,
What's
man?
happening? What's happening? Doing
Man,
good. What an
I was
episode.
telling the folks, man, that this might be Nine, as we'll talk about. This might be my favorite episode of the season.
Oh yeah, yeah,
While at the
absolutely.
same
Actually,
time having some bad moments. But I gotta say, there's some moments in this episode. I'm like, okay, I see you some character depth, some actual character development. Okay, I'm on
right.
board so far. But before we get into it, Nine, man, how was the weekend, man? How you doing, my friend?
It was good. It was a nice chill weekend. Watched some Black Mirror.
Yeah, I missed that. I heard a lot of
Just
people in
went
chat saying
out.
it was great.
Yeah, just just hung out. There was a lot of festivities in my area, so
Mhm.
just people acting a fool around town. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we had fun.
No doubt, man. Well, listen, man, I'm glad to see you, man, and very excited to get your thoughts on tonight's episode. And for
Oh, I
those that
have
might be,
thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, some thoughts to be had, my friend. But before we get into it, now, if this is their first time maybe seeing you and joining us on one of our live after shows, man, why don't you take the moment to introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to the people that's been joining us for the last 3 weeks and let them know who you are, where they can find you, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is Nine from Nine Nerd Yards. I do a lot of commentary on TV shows like Atlanta, Dave, and even The Idol on every Wednesday with my team at Nine Nerd Yards. So we've been having fun with that show a lot. And if you ever want to get like a double dosing of The Idol, come around on Wednesdays. We definitely have you covered there.
Definitely, man. And shout out to I wasn't able to stay the whole time, but I saw some bits of the interview you guys had with the gentleman that you guys had on a couple months ago that was in Atlanta and was in the most recent the Angry Girl and her Monster.
Yeah,
That
that
was a
was
great interview, man. You guys
fantastic. Yeah.
some really good stuff
Great.
there, man.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the it was an interview with Keith Holiday. Yeah, and he
Hmm.
was in the Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, which was a great interview. It's one of those interviews I actually haven't had the chance to see the movie yet,
Gotcha.
but from what it looks like, I don't
Hmm.
think it's been released all throughout the US yet, just select theaters. But from
Yeah.
what we're getting, you guys are going to want to check that out and go peep out the interview with Keith Holiday.
Definitely. Interviews, reviews, and just great content across the board. So definitely check out Nine's channel, which you guys can find the link in the description of this video. Nine, are you ready to talk about tonight's Daybreak?
So I came here for, baby.
Let's get to it. Well, hey, you know how we do it. Welcome everyone to tonight's after show. Myself and my special guest Nine from Nine Nerd Yards will be breaking down, discussing, spoiling what I consider to be maybe the best episode of the season so far. But hold on, before you throw your waters across the room and spit out your dinner, there were some pretty terrible stuff that we'll get into. But generally speaking, Nine, I was pretty locked in, especially the back half of the episode was like, whoa, layers and complexity and
I
depth,
like that.
development.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
ready
Well, I
to
wasn't expecting
see.
that from that show. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, now we got to break it all down. And again, guys, full breakdown. We're going to talk about it scene by scene from top to bottom and giving you all our commentary. But before we actually break it all down, listen, man, if you clicked on the video, I really appreciate it. If you can go a step further and hit the like button, the share
It's
button,
free.
subscribe, comment. It's free. Yes, it is free now, which apparently the clothes in the store was free in tonight's episode because we know Johnson, where the money at? I don't know. But definitely consider supporting the channel on that level. I really appreciate it. But nah, man, let's break it down, my friend. And actually, before we actually get into these scene by scene moments, are you like me, Nine, and thinking that this might be the best episode so far?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I've talked about this in weeks before where the first two episodes could have been just one episode. It would have been
Right.
great if this was episode two and we kind of cut the slack and kind of combined the first two episodes together.
Hmm.
Then I think we would have been rolling a bit more, right? But
I
this
think
being
so,
that,
man.
we're at the halfway of the season, I was like, a little too,
Yeah. A
little
little too
too
late.
late, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
But
agree with you, man.
then they have to be creepy every single episode and a bit out of pocket where I'm like,
It's like a
am
requirement
I
at this point.
where am I supposed to be taking this seriously or not? What do you guys want me to do here?
And hey, man, I couldn't agree with you more. There were some moments where I'm just like, this is unnecessary. We get the glitz, the glamour, the sexual tension between the two, but we don't have to see my man in public doing what he was doing, in the store doing what he was
I
doing.
was
And
like, please don't show it, please don't show it, please don't show
they just have to, man. It's
it.
like they don't have that stop button. Sam Levinson, the creator, was just like, keep going. Let's just keep recording. And I don't know, man. We'll get into it. Which let's just jump right into this first scene
Sam
here,
Levinson
Nine,
is
because
just cheering him on, like, yes,
yeah,
more.
more.
Okay.
Give me more. Now let's talk about this first episode, man. Which our first scene here. Good morning, Angel. Time to go shopping. And this Nine again. This is the part of the episode. This is honestly the first 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, come on. Can we get to the character stuff? Listen,
Mhm.
they're in LA. He's with this superstar. They're living their life or whatever. But Leia's driving on, and they are in the car. Mind you, this is LA. They're not in Idaho, where there's a population of, not as many as people in
Mhm.
LA. They're in the back kissing. This is fine. Public, infection with each other, kissing, hugging, all that, whatever. That's fine. But
But then,
then they take the extra step. My man is publicly in public. Let's just say going out to eating breakfast in the
he's
morning,
daybreaking.
daybreaking in front of all these
Yeah.
people. Now I just got to know, man. Listen, we've been pretty blunt about the sexuality, the provocateur nature of the show hasn't been that provocative in our opinions, but this was a little bit over the line in my opinion. Now, what do you think about
Mhm.
this particular scene before we actually break down what goes on in the actual store?
I feel for Leia, Layla there because that's the audacity of this guy to be like, "Hey, you're in the brakes too much. Hey, what's going on up there? We trying to we trying to get a freak on.
Trying
You
to get it
jumping
on.
by." It's like, come on, you don't got a driver. You don't got like someone that
Apparently
can
not.
like at least it's got to be her. I just thought it was pretty funny. Like I kind of had like a lot of fun with the first a lot of fun with throughout this episode just because I like the non-linear storytelling that they were doing in the beginning, right?
Cut. Yeah.
And the like the cut to back and forth and then like there was kind of like I don't know if I can say it's a reveal, but when they do show that it's Tedros opening the blinds for her,
Mm,
I feel like they're kind of like subliminally trying to like plant those scenes in her head where it's just Leia opening the blinds for her, right?
right.
And
Right.
then
Slowly but surely kind of taking
right,
over. Yeah.
and then now it's him doing that. So I
Right.
really kind of appreciated what was going on here, and you know, Layla is going to be the first one. I mean, the last one forced out, but maybe the book will stop with her eventually if she's
Right.
not already like, um, turning heel. But
Mm.
who knows? Who knows?
Listen, I would have been turning heel at this point, man. Ain't no way I'm driving Miss Daisy and y'all in the back getting on like Donkey Kong, man, in the middle of the day. About the risk. Listen, if the police come up now, you're in trouble. So I'm like, and what a
They're
top down? Where's the? I mean, come
they're
on, man.
famous and white.
That is case case in point. Case in point.
Sorry to
Nine.
say it, but
Yeah, but I definitely agree with you, man. I feel bad for Leia. Like, god damn, it's like there's taking one for the team, and then it's just like it's taking one too many steps, man. So but that's not it, ladies and gentlemen. You brought up a good point, Nine, in last week's breakdown. One thing that we haven't quite seen in the show yet is we hear how she's just kind of this pop icon. She's beloved, she's this, that, and the other, but we've never seen it until now, Nine, which I actually appreciate that because again, you kind of get a sense of that particular side of the fandom and being a pop star and being an idol. And again, it was a brief kind of interaction, but it was something that I thought of you immediately because I'm like, that was what I was talking about last week, maybe seeing how how beloved she is. And I don't know now, did you have a moment where you're like, finally, we could see her
Yeah,
interact
I
with
was
her
actually
fans?
thinking about that because I don't think I even said that on live. It was just like maybe before stage or after stage.
Yeah, yeah,
We were
yeah.
talking, and I was just like, you know what? It's called The Idol, but like,
Right.
to who? We haven't seen
Exactly.
any of her fans. We
Yep.
haven't really seen like any type of like, glorification of like who she is. Like, who is this person? But now in this scene, we finally see that like one person sees her on the street getting out of a
Yep.
car, then the
Yep.
crowd comes. Like she is that famous. So,
Yep.
um, and as you see the demographic there, that's like
I
a
was gonna say,
bunch
yeah,
of
this
young
girl, yeah,
girls that are.
variety.
That's going to come up later in the episode. Like a lot of young girls that are going to be looking up to Jocelyn. So I was
Exactly.
like, oof, yeah, she's in a predicament here.
Yeah, man,
Um,
I agree, man. And like I said, I thought this was, again, it's nothing too big. We didn't see her talking to a fan or anything, but it just kind of goes from an audience standpoint, like Nine brought up. Who is she an idol of? Like who's buying these albums? Who's been supporting her music career so far? And again, small moment, but something that we both appreciated. So I definitely like that moment. But that was unfortunately spoiled pretty quickly because we go from that moment to now we're in the store and we have her. Well, I shouldn't say her, but it's more or less him. What do y'all got? Show us your top, your finest, this, that, and the third. And she's trying on all these clothes. And again, now I'm thinking to myself, who's paying for this exactly,
right.
man? Like, is
Yeah.
it on the house? Is it Tedros got some money under that rat tail? Like, because we know he's broke. We know Johnson has Raheem paying for her mortgage. So now we'll be fair. Now I didn't see them walking out of the store with bags, so maybe it was just
Leo's
window
carrying
shopping.
him.
Oh, you're right. You're so right. So yeah, I don't know where the dough came from.
Wait, here's
Was
my
it
theory.
Pedro's?
Here's my theory.
Let's
You
hear
go
it.
up to the counter and you're like,
Right.
all these clothes have like sticky stuff on them. Uh, this is gross. Your establishment is gross. I'm just gonna take these. Actually,
Great point, man. These clothes are defective, very sticky for some reason. I want a full discount, or else I'm gonna tweet about this terrible service. You got a great
right,
point now because we know none one of them are carrying that cash. At least that we think of. Maybe, like I said, Mister Rat Tail got a couple extra
Mr.
stacks on
Rato.
him that we haven't seen, but they're going around the store, drinking wine, having a good time. But then we get these kind of, like you said, they cut the episode in a really interesting way where we get these moments of just like complete absurdity where there's this male employee who's, just doing his job, suggesting certain outfits and certain pairing with the shoes and whatnot. But nah, Tedros, he ain't feeling that, man. Now, I don't know about you. I worked in retail for a bit of time, for actually a long bit of time. Never in the closing industry, but I worked with customers, and you gotta, the customer's always right. Now, this would have been some furniture moving, man. If this man with this rat tails coming to me, threatening me, talking about you want me to stomp you and query you outside and curve, I'm like, bro, let's do it.
Right.
Let's make it happen. Just say the move.
Exactly.
Just say the move, Tedros,
I
and
was
we can
like,
make it
you're
happen.
not him. You are
You're
not
the guy,
that
bro.
guy.
Come
To
on,
me,
man.
I'm looking at the rat tail and I'm going to drag him by it, to be honest. Because, exactly. So, when you're saying you worked in retail,
Yeah.
I remember when I got like my clothes for fucking prom, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I had someone helping me, like, there was like, oh, we're gonna hand you the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their job. And I think it's like a
Yeah.
Valentino store or something that they're
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Some high end.
So
Yeah.
that's especially his job to go and grab some stuff for
Exactly.
her and like actually
Exactly.
just like, you can't be all like, oh yeah, you look great, right? So
Yeah.
the audacity of this guy, and it's not the first time. I mean, this it's not the only time in this episode where we see him
Yeah.
just do
He
these
feels
things where I'm
threatened.
like,
Yeah.
yo, if that was me,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
if
Yeah,
that was
man.
me,
It's Tedros saying he ain't, like you said, he ain't that guy, man. I would have, at the very least, maybe not losing my job, but I would have had to be like, well, I would have been laughing in my man's face and be like, yo, I'm about to go on lunch break before I act a damn fool up in here. So I'll be back in 45 minutes. Let me know when he's gone. Because that's he's too close. He's too close, man. He's too close for
I'm
comfort, man. But from there now we go from this fake out threatening scene. But as you talked about, how they cut between Leia and she's telling the crew what's going on and how the situation with Tedros, he's becoming more controlling over the situation, and they're driving over there, and then we're cutting in between these scenes of Tedros talking about, we get a Kanye West name drop in tonight's episode with a very famous producer that Kanye works with, and
Thank you,
we get
Kanye.
that. Yes, yeah. Wouldn't that be something? He pops up in some of these episodes. That would be pretty wild. But we see Tedros, as you kind of alluded to, he's making himself very much so the replacement of Leia, where he's telling her, are you challenged in the head? Did you not hear what I said? I am in control now. And we don't just stop there, man. We go from, and we met Andres, I think was his name, which is her
Look,
personal chef. We met him last week or the week before. And, he seems to be a nice guy and cook a food. But I can't believe I'm going to say this, Nine, but there was two moments in tonight's episode where I actually sided with Tedros, because now I don't know about you. But there's boundaries, between employees and the employer. And my man, and Andres, that's a little bit.
they were
I don't
they
know.
were
Now, am
sharing
I
a
tripping?
moment. They were
Am I
sharing a
tripping?
moment for sure. They were sharing a moment.
He's great. Yeah.
But I before I touch on that right there, I do want
Yeah.
to just go back to the moment you said where Leia's like, "Oh, I'll ask Jocelyn about it," and Tedros
Yeah.
is like, "Well, you use the word challenged, right? But that's not
Yeah.
what he said."
Yeah.
And I don't even like using that. I like that word is kind of like it's the other hard R, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
and
coming from this guy, from
coming from
Tedros.
this guy from the
Yeah.
rat tail guy. But that would have been the other moment where like, yeah, this guy can get it. He's like Leia, like I would have been throwing hands right there if I was Layla. And exactly his face and how his like demeanor drops.
Demeanor. Yeah.
I don't know if you were talking about the weekend's acting before this, or before
No,
I came on,
touch on
but
it. Touch
like
on it.
I think he actually did a good job in this episode. You know, like if it's his job to be a creep,
Oh,
nailed it.
he's
You know what I
giving him
mean?
the award.
Nailed it, right?
Yeah.
Like he did that, and like the way his kind of like his face drops at every kind of like challenge or when anybody says no, that was like I was like, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
is making me a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what did you think about that? Like his acting in this one.
I gotta say now, like I said earlier, not only was this the best episode from a narrative perspective, but from a performance perspective, Lily's been doing her thing this whole show. But the weekend to me has been, as I said earlier, kind of jokingly, it's been the weekday. It hasn't been any, he's been the weekday throughout this series. But tonight's episode, like you
Hmm.
kind of touched on now, yeah, he's giving me some, he's emoting properly in the scenes that need to be.
Hmm.
He is a creep to the highest degree. But yeah, there are moments like you just mentioned here where it's just like, yeah, that's a face you want to punch, especially as what he says to Leia.
Hmm.
That's a face you want to punch when he says to the guy at the store. So yeah, he's getting under our skin, which I think is the
Hmm.
intent of this character. We're not supposed to root for him, or I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people out there that is like, yeah, this is my hero, and
Right.
you know how those people are. But yeah, no, I think he did a really solid job of being that asshole of a character very well. But then later on, like I said, not only did I feel like he's, get your thoughts on the whole Andre scene, but later when he's having a conversation with Xavier and Leia, like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be the bad guy? Y'all allowing her mom to beat her like she's a doll? Like, so it was like
Hmm.
moments where I'm like, yo, not only
Yeah,
from a performance, but
exactly.
like the character he's saying the
Right.
right thing, doing the right. I think he's saying the right.
Very insidious character, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he nailed it this episode with all of the tones. Like he's remaining consistent, right?
that's true.
With his
That's true.
character base and like what
Love
we
it or
had,
hate it.
like the
Yeah.
little tidbits that we've seen from him
Hmm.
throughout like the last two episodes are coming to fruition of like, oh, this is how he forms his cult. And I
Yeah.
thought that was so interesting. And if you're going to jump to the the scene with their chef, right? I think that's
I
their
gotta
chef.
side with him. Nah, I gotta side with him because he has a point. He has a point.
Yeah, and then someone just put in the comments, Chum Weiser said Tedros saying he knows a gynecologist and
he wouldn't be
but
putting
doesn't go
fingers in.
around sticking his fingers
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit funny. It was only because it was just like they were sharing a moment, right?
Yeah, she was like, "What do you think, Andres?" He's like, "Oh no, let me tell you here, mommy."
But
Yeah, he was getting a little touchy feely.
the conflict is that she did that first, right? She's like,
Yeah,
right, and I'm like, okay, so like, how do you really manage that? Because it seems like that's just something they do, right?
yeah, and who's
But
to
it's
say
weird.
that the photo that we'll talk about later? Who's to say that that wasn't Andre? You know what I'm saying? Or Andres? We don't know who the man, the mystery man was
Right.
behind the camera.
Exactly, exactly.
So no, I agree with Ted. I don't listen. I won't say it much, but this is a moment where I agree with Tedros. Like, yeah, there's boundaries, and he was hitting on some facts, like you mentioned
Mhm,
about the doctor moment, and just like that is inappropriate, at least to me. I'm not saying that they weren't having sex in the kitchen, but it's like he's
mhm.
rubbing it all up on her stomach, and
Right.
but
If I
I
went
don't
to
know.
Olive
I wouldn't say
Garden
no.
and my chef came out and did that to my girl, then I would be like, yo, what's
Yeah,
going on
yeah, yeah.
here?
We
Right.
go. There's gonna be some breadsticks moving around here in a second. If that was, yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you now. But from there, man, again, we're cutting in between his different scenes, and he he slaps homeboy in the face. Now, shout out to
Mhm.
Andres for not retaliating, because I think that's a limit that once you put a hands on someone, then all hell
He's
breaks
coming
loose.
at
But
people that are like, like he's looking up to them.
yeah,
He had to slap that dude like that.
yeah, man,
None did
and
nothing.
Andres, he kept his cool, and I'll say Lily, but Jocelyn, she goes ahead and again, whether it was sexual or not, who's to say, but the fact that she went ahead and sided with Tedros speaks a lot to the relationship and how much he's gotten his hands into her, and then he's in her head, because he says, you're out of here. And he's like, I don't listen to you, bro. So shout out to Andres for at least saying
Mhm.
that and not completely bending over. But he gets the word from her that it is over. She fires him and has him be sent home. Based on the obviously the being kind of nudged by Tedros to do so. So any more thoughts on Andres, man? Do you think he'll gonna come back now and at any point in the season, maybe poison Tedros' food on the low?
Who knows? He's probably tweeting about it right now. But
Yeah.
like, again, like I guess right when I would have got let go, then it's on, right? Like,
Oh
I'm a
yeah. Like,
chef.
oh,
I
I'm
got the
fired.
mic.
Oh, bad, 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 bad.
Right, like it's over with. Oh, I'm fired. Yeah, let's move some furniture around. Right, you're in my kitchen. Um, but what? Why do you think is the reason why like Jocelyn was like okay right there on the spot? Like why?
It's a good question, man, because there are moments in this episode where she does kind of they have some disagreements. This is the first time we ever seen them both not be on the same page, especially later in the
Mhm,
episode. But yeah, I think she's just complicit in the fact that she wants to appease this new boyfriend of hers by any means. Like, he's more important than a chef, because you can get them a dime a dozen, but there's only one Tedros,
mhm.
who's been in her mind helping out her career and reinvigorating her passion for music. So I think she's just at this point jump how high, Tedros. She's just that
Mhm.
infatuated by his orders. But like the faces on all these characters just speaks like what? Especially
Right.
Leia there, and even Isaac is like, damn, bro,
I was
damn.
like, okay, we're doing this.
Um,
But
but
I
he's
like how
he's
Chloe
fired,
is
bro.
just kind of like watching all of their
Yeah, she's like,
reactions and
this
that.
is just
Like,
another
it's
Tuesday,
like, okay, y'all surprised?
right?
That's how it goes. Can't
Right.
say
I
no to
couldn't.
Tedros.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll get to that too, man. And before we do so, now we got 107 wonderful people joining us here tonight, which we definitely appreciate the support. If you guys could, if you're just tuning in, we're just getting the conversation started, but definitely consider hitting the like, share, comment, and consider subscribing, man. And as we get to the comment section, Tedros has mind control over Jocelyn, it seems. Oh, 100%. 100%.
He's a vampire.
He's
I
a
know it. I know it.
a lot of people do agree. Yeah, they hated that they fired my man for no reason, just based off of his orders at that time. Lily Rose definitely has potential, but I don't think they'll give her any love for the show. Well, again, we got
It's kind of sad.
3 episodes, but
She's killing it.
she is doing her thing. And who's to say, man? I know these Emmys. It'll be like 19 people being nominated for all these awards. So who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right though. I think it might get overshadowed because the show's like it's hard to be a diamond or a needle in a haystack when the show is not to the same level as a certain actress. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the next 3 episodes will change the narrative there on just the show as a whole. But let's see. Let's see. Yeah, huge Kanye cult vibes. Lily James's fault. Yeah, like I said, I think we can all agree that Lily Rose Depp has been the shining star of the series so far on a lot of levels, and I
Um,
think her performance has been great.
on that huge Kanye cult vibes. I think it was like his birthday in the last week or whatever, and I saw this on like Twitter, and he had a
Sushi
uh
situation.
yeah, you
Yeah,
saw that? It was
I
like,
did.
just serving sushi off of
Yeah,
a
man.
naked woman or something, and I'm like, people really do that, huh? That's
Yeah, yeah,
I
man.
guess
It's
like Kanye would do that, but
right. That is a
really
Kanye move
interesting.
to do for sure, man. And again, if we get a Kanye cameo, man, that just fits the vibe, I guess. 100% fits
Wish
the
me to
vibe.
get that with them. Hilarious. Nice. Nice.
But pivoting back into the episode here, 9. So again, we got all these scenes of Tedros showing his authority to the store people, to the restaurant, or not the restaurant, but the personal chef. But now we're pivoting over to we get Eli Roth appearing back in the episode, and he's threatening to cancel the concert. They're playing him like a fiddle and say, "Oh, we're making new music, this, that, and the other," because they're fed up. Jocelyn hasn't made new music in a while. There's been money being spent. There's been music videos not being shot, tours being canceled. So I understand where he's coming from, but again, they're at least giving them illusion that music is being made. Meanwhile, Jocelyn hits a nerve, 9, with her man, and so at this point in the episode, 9, they're again playing husband and wife dressing up, and first off, 9, this man tells her she has no style.
Mm.
Says the guy that's trapped in the 70s with the
Mm.
jumpsuit and the rat tail, tells the girl that her outfit game is lacking, her drip is lacking. I'm like, yeah, you completely delusional, bro. But she plays into it. Oh, honey, very funny. And then she tells him, I don't. Again, I'm like, are we in high school? She says he's gay. Now I don't know if she's saying he's gay because he has a sense of put in
Makes
quotations
sense.
fashion,
Yeah.
yeah, or if it was just like I don't know. What did you take from that? Because
Yeah.
immediately is
Six.
followed by him showing, I guess, his masculinity and taking her to the back and doing what they were doing back there. But what did you think about that moment of her calling him gay and him showing? And to take it further, we get a little bit more explicit with him trying to, I guess, trap her and get a baby in her. She said, "No, hold on, man. You can fire my chefs and tell people in stores
Right,
what to
but
do, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
ain't back
you
there
ain't
impregnate
gonna,
Mr.
you're not
Rattail."
gonna do that. Yeah.
Shout out to Jocelyn
Um.
for the first time in their
Right.
interactions of like coming to
Drawing the
realization.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's drawing the line right there.
Drawing the line
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was really interesting just because it's like, you know, if someone, I don't know, like, yeah, like you said, it was like high school or whatever, right? And he she called him gay, and it's just like that touched him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
that like it was another one of those like face drops where it's just like, okay, now
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to go back to dark weekend mode, and I'm gonna show you the business or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I have a theory about people that are like very sensitive for that, and
Mhm.
he may be hiding something. I'm not sure,
It's a great
but
point, man, because that
he
is, if you're completely confident in your masculinity or confidence in your sexuality, that shouldn't bother you because maybe
exactly,
we'll see. Maybe him
exactly.
and Isaac got a little thing or two going on in the back, but that definitely touched a nerve because he had to, I guess, again, show his masculinity that I ain't
Hmm.
gay. I'll show you. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, man.
And yeah, so we'll see if like any more information regarding Tedros. I thought we were going to get a little bit more snippets about like his past life or something. But uh and that scene's coming up later, but we didn't really get more in depth about like him, but like more about like his moving ons and like how he kind of controls the people around him, which I did actually appreciate.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And like I said, appreciation. Shout out to Jocelyn for, like you said, for once something, the light bulb popped off. It's like, nah, bro, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But again, they're in the public now. They're in this store. If it was their store, there's no employees in the store. Sure, you're living your life, but there's people in there, nine. And then they go a step extra further. He doesn't get off, right? So now he's in the public place, ejaculating, man, masturbating in public.
Why is he so loud though?
Why
And
is he so
why like does
loud?
he need
Why
to
not?
go right there? Like that's I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but like
This is the stuff again. This is the stuff of the show where I'm just like, come on, we don't need any of this. Literally, this is not telling
none of
any
it.
part of the story
None
at
of
all.
it.
This is not pushing the narrative forward. This isn't a character moment besides maybe him being triggered by her calling him gay. But you can move past. Like, I don't know why they had to show him getting off in public. That was just, to me, was unnecessary. I don't know. What about you now?
I mean, that was like yeah, I mean, that was the part I was just like, okay, just please just don't show like, cut to the wall and it's just like a fucking mess or whatever. I mean, which we know that they're comfortable showing on Jocelyn's face, right? So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
are we really gonna get this just shot shot to goo?
I'm glad they didn't show it, but they allude to what you jokingly said earlier. We the clothes. Maybe that's how they got they were able to afford them, because maybe there was a couple,
Right.
stains on
Yeah.
the clothes that allowed
And that was his favorite
100%
one
discount.
too. He was
Yeah,
like saying like this is the one that you look so good in. And it's like, okay, what's
completely
going on here?
unnecessary.
It's
Yeah,
really,
man.
really strange. Really
So from
strange.
there on, we leave the store again. The fans are happy to see her. They're laughing, having a good time. And this is, so I'm looking at the timeline. This is 15 minutes, 16 minutes of the episode. From this point onward, this is when I think the show kind of focused. It got to the stuff that's a little bit more insightful. It got to the stuff that actually has some actually weight and some depth to it, and that is, Leia has called in the troops. She let them know 911 is on the way. And I'm telling you, Nine, she has yet to fail me. But Destiny is my favorite character in the show. She is so damn funny. She plays the scene so well. She hits the marks. She hits the jokes. Shout out to Raheem as well. Like, their banter, their back and forth. Those two to me have been the really, and also Leia too. Those characters have really been the shining star. But I think, like I said, for me personally, from this point onward is when the show was like, this is the best episode, like without a doubt. And also, I got some really good laughs out of this chain off, if we want to call it that, when Tedros walks up and he's like showing his little
Perfect.
taco meat and
It
his
was
little
perfect.
his chain, and then fast
Yeah.
forward to my man, like, are we going there, homeboy? Hold on, let me see if I can find the
Right.
shot. He's like, oh, this is how we roll it. Let me go ahead and just pull out my blang and show you what I'm working with, man. Just let you know I ain't no punk. You ain't gonna be slapping me around like you did Andres.
Right.
But yeah, man, this is an album cover right here. I'm rocking with these two now.
You're right, and I do like how he's got the star, right?
Yeah.
He's like really representing right there too, and they look just like both like so regal together, like we're
Yes.
about to get some things done. Oh, you think that you can play? Well, we're the original players here, right?
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that. I love
I love the
that.
vibes. I love the energy,
Stand
man.
on.
He's a dynamic duo coming through. They
Mhm.
almost, I thought they had me for a second. I thought they fell for the trap, but we'll get to that here in a second. And totally, like you said earlier, I'm like, who bought the clothes? Because I forgot this scene here. Poor Leia. She's just the driver, maid. I
She's
mean,
yeah,
all of the above, man. Like,
right.
goddamn,
That's your best friend right there.
that's your
Don't
best
forget.
friend. Don't
That's
forget
a
it.
nice car
Yeah.
though. That's a nice
That
car.
is a pretty nice whip. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the weekend's
Yeah, I
car,
wouldn't
as
be
is
surprised either.
everything in this show. But moving on, Nine, they're doing the whole mom and dad thing. Like, tell us, what are you doing? What's your intentions with our daughters type of conversation? But more or less, what are you doing with the music of it all? Tell us how the song you guys made. Tell us how you operate this, that, and the third. Kind of, pressing them. And I'm loving it, man, because again, it's and again, go back to your point, Nine. the back and forth, the chemistry between the three was really working for me in this scene, especially when
Mhm.
Destiny is like, "Oh, you from LA?" He's like, "Yeah, born and raised in Hollywood." Because again, apparently he was from Hawaii.
Hawaii
So again,
before,
they did their research and calling him out for his BS. Well, they didn't necessarily call him out, but they at least know that he's making up these lies. And
yeah. Mhm.
again, Nine Destiny had me full out dying laughing when she comes to him and says, "Oh, you didn't finish school, whatever, because you got kicked out." "Oh yeah, me too." And the reason I got kicked out is for beating bitches' asses.
Fake bitches' asses, and they, like, make
Bruh,
sure to cut to her, like, kinda, like, glancing over her glasses like, "Hey, listen, I'm about to beat this motherfucker's ass."
if it come down to it, I
Yeah,
got my money on
yeah,
her,
I
bro.
did
I got my
appreciate
money
that.
on Destiny, man.
Uh,
She look like she about that, man. She shout out to her, man. Like I said,
it
she is the
it's
highlight
so
for me.
refreshing. It's so refreshing to have,
It
like, good
is.
moments in the show that I'm, like, been trash talking
That's
for,
pretty.
like,
Yeah,
a couple weeks now,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this is where I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And, again, like, Sam Levinson's style is still shining through here, right? Like,
Hmm.
that direction and the cinematographer that he has, which I always forget his name, but, um, it always this is more of this, and it would have been a better show. And if it's like more self-aware, right? And like all of these people kind of like realize that the game that they're in
Yep.
is uh not to be taken too seriously. And I keep on cutting back to like Succession, right? Where
Mhm.
we're meant to realize that this is like a little bit of a off kilted, romp around this sort of lifestyle, still staying kind of true to like how these people act, but you know, uh, 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 um, still being self-aware enough to know that like this show can be funny, right?
Right. No, I agree, man. It's well said because I definitely agree with the self awareness of the show, but also going back to the euphoria of it all. Euphoria is very funny to me at points.
Hmm.
Like I think of season 2 with Cassie in the hot tub during Maddie's birthday. That whole scene, like there's like legit moments of like breaking because it's a dark show. We know Euphoria can get dark, and we know the show has
Hmm.
hit its levels of like uncomfortability. But yeah, characters like this, man, I think the show needs more of this. Yes, give me the serious, in-depth conversations, but then when it is getting a little bit of a lull, when I'm getting tired of Tedros's crap, these characters like this really lightens the mood, plays into the narrative, and also this not just funny to be funny, but it is commentary there in regards to they're fully aware of his game, because as we
Hmm.
follow through with this scene, now I'm thinking to myself, did he? I was going to write off the show at this point because I'm like, if they're trying to make me believe that they believe Tedros of gonna, because the whole thing is you got to make her focus. Can you work under these conditions, Johnson? Are you and Tedros a good pair? It's like, yeah, and like, well, all right, if this is true, give me two. I'm gonna give y'all 2 weeks to make music,
Hmm.
and then we have them leaving, and they say
Three
to Leia,
hits.
"I love him. He's great." I'm like, bro. I hope this show is joking right now that they didn't just buy this
Right.
man's BS.
Right.
Because if so, I'm like, this is just terrible.
No.
But luckily, not. It was all part of their game. All of them just
Hmm.
kind of gassing him up, making him think like, "Oh, I got them in the bag. I don't got to worry about them." They
Right.
go in the
Yeah.
car and like, "Yeah, our girl's in trouble. Our girl's in
Yeah.
trouble." Nine. I'm so glad they gave me the scene because if they didn't, I was about to write this off, bro. That this was just terrible writing. But I'm glad that they peep game, man. What did you think about them coming to? And I think they was fully aware that he was on some BS when they were talking to him,
Hmm.
even prior to that. But what did you feel about them coming to the car and actually realizing that this is some trouble for Jocelyn?
Yeah, I mean, that did feel good. And setting the tone up where like it's going to be like this battle between her, original team and this newfound family that she has. And that line where she's like, my grandma always said, don't trust a guy with a rat tail. And I'm like,
Facts.
really, your grandma said that? That's I don't know, it was just like one of those moments where I was just like, okay, all right, cool. But yeah, I do just like love these characters, and I really wish that like I was like, oh, what are they doing day by day? Like, I want to know like how they handle things a little bit more, see more of their side of things, and that's a different show, but I think they're like really good additions to this story arc that we're going on.
Now you brought up something right there as far as like consistency and just the where the show's headed and like focusing on like characters like this. And this just makes me go back to like the initial reports of what the intention of the show is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
before the original director was, let go, well, not let go, but she walked away from the project due to toxicity on the set and whatnot. But it makes me, this episode in particular, I can almost see the shades of like they probably kept some of the, even though I know they said they shot from the beginning, like Sam Levinson came in and threw away all the stuff prior to what was shot and started from scratch. But there seems to still be a skeleton of what you just alluded to of like the industry, the music industry, and how it's consuming this girl Jocelyn and having these kind of moments of like entourage of like the agent's perspective, the fan perspective, less so much about the whole Tedros cult angle. So you brought up a good point to me now where it's like you can see the shades of like where the show is almost like a Jekyll and Hyde, where it had a direction, but then it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes feels directionless. It sometimes meanders and focuses on giving pleasure in a car and having a sex scene here. It's like this filler
Mm-hmm.
moments versus like these in-depth moments. So I don't know, man. This episode to me was a perfect example of like there was something there at one point in
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And I do feel like a little bit like this the scope is just a bit too small, maybe. Like the Weekend's house is beautiful, right? But
Yeah.
like we're there all the time, right? And I'm like getting kind of sick of it.
Yeah.
Like switch it up, like do something, right?
Which I don't know now, to your point, if it's meant to make us feel kind of like we're locked in and closed in, like this is Jocelyn kind of being trapped. It's her home, but
Mm,
she's trapped in her home due to this man. So I
okay.
don't know if it's purposeful for us to kind of feel that way. Like we want to break out of the house, as is eventually I would hope that she wants to break out of this relationship. So I don't know if I'm giving the show more credit than it deserves, if this is like a metaphor of like we're
Yeah.
just like, damn, I want to get out of this goddamn house. As hopefully maybe Jocelyn will at some point. But I don't know, maybe it's just maybe I'm like I said, giving him too much credit. It's just a budgetary issue. Like we got this $15 million home. Let's just take advantage of every nick and cranny of this house. Possibly.
And on that last scenes now, they have I think the stipulation was 2 weeks,
Yes.
3 mega hits, right?
Hits.
And I
Bangers.
want
Certified.
you to answer this question. You
Mm-hmm.
as a YouTuber, you're a great YouTuber. Are you going to be able to I'm saying like 3 of your like top best videos, top performing
Mm-hmm.
videos. Are you
Mm-hmm.
making those in 2 weeks with that timeline? And I'm saying like you're just working on those 3 videos.
Um, that's a tough act. I mean, listen, if the pressure's there, I always pride myself on stepping up when push comes to shove. But
Hmm.
I mean, that's some pressure that is, and especially just taking into context of stepping away from like a YouTube space, like making a hit song is a very hard ask. It's just like making a
Exactly.
hit movie
Yeah.
for anyone is
Yeah.
is a lot of factors in that. So I think honestly, I think that the whole 3 week thing is just a facade. It's just for them to kind of again play into like we're pretending we're gonna play along with Tedros being this
Right.
hit maker, but I think
Right.
secretly they're making him feel comfortable, but they're gonna address whatever the issues might be at that time. So yeah, I think they're just playing him. To be honest, I don't think I don't think they expect them to come up with any music in the next 3 weeks. If I'm being honest with
Right.
you.
Right. And the point I was trying to make there is that like like when we're doing our YouTube thing and we're making videos, we
Yeah.
don't know what's going to be a hit. You know what I mean? And we can like give our all on a video or whatever
Yeah.
and like put
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I really like this thing, but that I put out, but it's not really doing numbers. So I guess I gotta
Mhm.
like, turn heel shift move or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pass pawn or right. But to do that on that scale is just like 3 hits. I don't know what like how do we know what a hit is until afterwards?
I agree, man. It's a good point. But like I said, I think it was just a bomb to be set off that they know it's an impossible task with these two. But while all that's going on, Miss Diane and Nikki are still doing their thing. We were led to believe or at least Nikki was led to believe, to have Jocelyn think that the whole video shoot was just, water on the bridge. We'll figure it out once you get your head together. But meanwhile, they're shooting a video, man. So I mean, this is, talk about quick, fast, and in a hurry. Personal, well, not personal, but the question I have for you, Nine, is, and everyone in the comments, is the Weeknd, Tedros, aware of this aspect going on, that she is building this side and he's almost somewhat delaying, distracting, interrupting Jocelyn's career because he now knows that he has his ace in the hole with Diane?
Mm, mm. Yeah, and we've talked about that. That Diane has been kind of like the wrangler, right? She's like the one that suggests for Jocelyn to go to that club. Sh-
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we got Isaac at the club that's going to be there to separate Jocelyn from Layla, and kind of have that. So like they seem to have a directive, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not sure if they're acting independently and like kind of like, oh, Tedros is the thing that we're going to be using to, or the person that we're going to be using to achieve like higher goals, right?
Yeah.
So with this, I'm kind of asking the questions like, Diane does this, is she still with Tedros after? I think that's kind of like the most important question, or
Yeah.
is it going to be more of a stepping stone?
That's a good point, Nine. That's a good point, man, because the one scene that we saw them share together last week, it seems like she's the only one out of his whole cult crew, Chloe, Xavier, and Isaac. She seemed to have a little bit more control when they were talking last week. Like the way she was expressing how she was like, "Oh, you didn't fill me in." It was almost like Bonnie and Clyde, like almost like she was his number two, and he fills her in, and he not answers to her, but it seems like she has a little bit more control than the others. So
Right.
you bring up a good point. Like, if she does hit that fame, is she going to just throw him off to the side? Is she going to reel him in? Is she going to tell Jocelyn what's been going on this whole time? I think she is definitely a character that isn't as black and white as it might appear to be. I think she might have some agency to Tedros, and it's not as clear cut as it might appear to be with the other ones. You make a good point. Now, that'll be really interesting to see if she does pull a fast one over him,
Mhm.
considering that she's getting on the fast track to be this next star to replace Jocelyn in such a fast pace. It's a good point, man. It's a good point you bring up. I like it. I like it. Let us know in the chat, guys. What do you guys think of that particular plot? And speaking of the chat, just check in with all 109 of y'all. Again, appreciate you joining us on this Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful dads out there, including like
Father's Day.
myself, the dog and the cat dads out there, and all the other animals out there that you guys might have. Happy Father's Day. But consider hitting that like button, y'all, sharing, leaving your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to try to read off some here. And more importantly, consider subscribing, man. So now, what are the people saying, man? We got Zia talking about it was exhausting. Yeah, like I said, the first 15, 20 minutes Zia to me was just like so the least interesting aspect of the show. But as we got past that, that's when it started to pick up. We got some people loving that dynamic duo. Destiny is a lot of the fan favorites. I couldn't agree with you more. Zia's agreeing with us that we need more of them because they definitely bring some flavor to the show when it is sometimes a little bit flavorless. Destiny faking Justin's voice in the car. Oh, yeah, that was a funny moment. There's quite a few funny moments from Destiny 9 from this episode. That being one of them, man.
And now, was that a music that they were playing? Was that actually one
That's a
of
good point. Was
the
that
new
Johnson's music?
tracks, or did they listen to one of the new tracks when they got there?
It almost seemed like it was just a random what was ever on the radio type of thing. But you might be right.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that they probably well, and also too, I guess I never really looked at it. I would imagine they have other clients.
Right.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
think potentially?
Yeah.
Or maybe that's why they go so hard, or because paying half someone's mortgage and giving them pep talks when they're failing at a photo
Yeah.
shoot or video shoot might be like this is their only gig, this is
Right.
their only client, this is how they came up in the industry. So that's I never
Mhm.
thought of that. If this is their only client and that's why they're going so hard in a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I was gonna say, yeah, because it's like kind of setting up two battles they're fighting, because it seems like if they're trying to play the bigger executive and then also trying to get a wrangle on Jocelyn, they're like, on a fine line here.
Yeah,
Right. So
I
they're going
agree,
for
man.
broke too.
I agree, and I'm very curious going back to the whole Diane of it all. If she's going to try to get some of Jocelyn's people. Hey, Destiny, hey, Xavier, I like what you guys did with her. Can you want to start from
Right.
scratch and work with
Right.
me? It'll be interesting, man, because at some point I think they're going to get tired of Jocelyn's BS if she continues to go down this path with Tedros and have enough for what she's going to be doing here soon. So we'll see. It looks like Mike Dean is in the. Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that in the trailer. I don't even know what Mike Dean looks like, to be honest with you. But
And
that'll
so
be
that's Kanye's producer, right? Mike
yeah,
Dean.
yeah. So okay,
And that's interesting because then you would think that like Jocelyn's people have connected or know Mike Dean or like hit him up and be like, hey, what's up with this Tedros guy? He says that you're coming on his behalf to like, hang out at Jocelyn's place.
right.
So that would kind of like clear things up a bit.
Yeah, if he actually has that pool, if it's not all smoke and mirrors, that he actually has some skin in the game some way. So I mean, he is a club owner. You would
Mhm.
imagine there are a couple producers, artists that come by and plays their records. So yeah, maybe it's not all fake and facade because again, like I said last week, and we'll get into it here, he does have talented people on his side. Like Chloe's a beast on the piano and on the vocals. Isaac had his moment of singing in this episode. And of course, we know Diane hitting those 1-2, moves. So he does have an eye for talent, man. I'm not saying he's a
Mhm.
Puff Daddy or P Diddy of it all, but he might have that eye where he gets he can pick out talent. He might not be that talented, and no disrespect to P
Mhm.
Diddy, but we all know Puff Daddy is not the greatest artist as the artist that he works with
Yeah.
by any means. But yeah, he might have some pool in that, and that would be interesting if he is able to get in a big producer like Mike Dean to produce it to lay down a track for Jocelyn. That would be interesting. That would be very
Mhm.
interesting, man.
Mhm.
But speaking of interesting now, getting back into the episode breakdown here again, we got the stuff going on in the house. And again, this is where the episode really kind of focused a lot in the interior of this home. And we have again, when the show is laser focused, actually having good dialogue and not focusing on the shocking moments. Chloe, now we talked about her briefly about, okay, Chloe seems to be this kind of innocent girl who might not be as villainous as maybe her other crew with Tedros. There's a moment here now that I really appreciated regarding just the encouragement of allowing Jocelyn to be her, allow her music to show a little bit more of her and not the superficial, not her having her be taking ownership of her music. I don't know now, like I said, it was a quick moment. But it was a moment that I appreciated from a narrative and a character perspective of Chloe kind of pulling this out of her. Now, again, is it genuine? Does she actually really mean these words? Is it part of the game? Like, what did you think about this scene between Chloe and Jocelyn talking about her mom and making music and making it more personal?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that speaks to like the insidious nature of what Tedros cabal has going on here, because at some points I'm thinking like, oh, they are kind of like a little bit self-fulfilling their own goals by linking up with Tedros, but
Right.
also they very much believe his ideology,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like they may be, playing all of the same game that we are going to like get Jocelyn in, right?
Right.
And I think that was actually who is this? That's Chloe
Chloe, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jordana's son, who I've never seen before or
I
whatever.
think
But
she's an artist too. I think they have a lot of like genuine artists
okay,
that sing or in the
okay,
industry. And I think she's one of them. Because I think in the after show, Sam Levinson said that he actually had her write a song for the show, the song that they were talking about
okay.
last week with the
So she's
mommies and stuff.
really playing the piano there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Like I said, these are
actually,
all like
yeah, okay.
actually artists. Yeah,
And so I guess for the scene, it's just kind of like a little bit of the therapy that she hasn't gotten from
right.
anybody else in her life, right? Um, and when you're surrounded by all of these kind of like yes men, or like they're doing things for their, and not to say that Chloe may not be doing things for her own
Right.
motive, but
Mhm.
all of her people are definitely doing it for that check. So
Yeah, yeah.
when you balance that out, like, I don't think they have been kind of the support system. And when we come to find out later in the episode, is that
Point,
they
man.
kind of stood by or, held their tongues when they knew some abuse was going on in her life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It gets really messy. I know like Tedros is a scumbag, but it
Hmm.
gets a little bit messy when I like consider the interactions she has with her Tedros's followers or the other cult members, I should say.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree with you now. It almost makes you look back again at who's the real cult, in this
Hmm.
situation. Was it Jocelyn and her people prior to that, prior to Tedros stepping in, and then like you saying, kind of, yeah, Jocelyn like not giving her the best advice for her career because they're getting paid at the end of the day. It's really not about the artist, it's about how much they're getting out of the situation. And you look at Tedros and her people, like, yeah, man, we haven't had a moment. Of course, it's only been 3 episodes, but you get the sense that her and Leia, who Leia's her best friend, I don't know if Leia's having this type of heart to heart with Jocelyn, talking about
Hmm.
the music and how to influence her music and how to use the music. Yeah, you're good now.
I'll be right back,
Yeah,
everybody.
take your time, take your time. So yeah, like I said, guys, and now I'm gonna just step out for a second, but yeah, I totally agree with what he was just saying there. And let me know in the chat, y'all, like how you're feeling about Chloe. Is it genuine? Is she actually a person that is showing genuine interest of Jocelyn? Does she really care for her? Are these words of talking about her mother, talking about being more personal? Is it advice that comes from the heart, or is it Tedros? This is the game plan. We're gonna follow it through. I need you to lean into the mother aspect. I need you to lean into the personality, preaching my words to this individual. Or, like I said, do we think that Chloe is being a actual good human being and caring for her? Because as I have on the screen now, you'll notice that's the same brush that has a history, that has a backstory, and she's using that brush. Now, of course, she didn't know at that point what that brush meant. But again, this is yet another example of Chloe almost putting herself in Jocelyn's shoes. We saw her last week wearing her clothes in the closet while she was hooking up with Tedros. Now we see her using her brush and using her mirrors and using her makeup. So again, this is a character that is very fascinating. Out of everyone in this cult, I would say that Chloe is the most interesting character in the cult angle with Tedros. So I'm very, very, very fascinated by her, very intrigued by her intentions, her story as a whole, and what she has going for it. Chloe is someone that I am very, very, very much intrigued by. As Nine has joined us again, man. I was just kind of wrapping up this particular part, Nine, where I feel like Chloe is the most interesting character from Tedros and how she is again embracing being Jocelyn, using her brush and her makeup and her clothes. Like, and again, is it genuine? Is it come from an evil spot? Nah, man. Any final thoughts on Chloe before we move on to this next big scene here?
Um, so when it comes to that, that like goes back to like what I feel about Diane is like, is this all a front just to get like people to get into Jocelyn's spot, get into her headspace where they can start to get, the opportunities that Jocelyn has, and is this going to be more a corrosive thing where all of these other people can then step up and over? So
Mm,
that's where I get from Chloe. Even though that I do like her character, I maybe just
me
because
too,
like
man.
when when I saw her just like playing the piano and actually like just being skilled
She's
at that, I was just
talented,
like,
man.
yeah, very talented. I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's she seems cool, just kind of like weird.
Yeah, there's something about it, and I think they casted her perfectly. She has this look and vibe to her that you kind of want to have hope for her. But as I'm reading the comments here on the side here, is a lot of people think that it is part of the game. And actually, one of our viewers here watching us live is mentioning that maybe they believe that Chloe was the one that brought the, not necessarily a brush, but brought in the aspect of like her vulnerabilities of not feeling like her music is personal. That
Hmm.
it was like a little, little finger in the Game of Thrones, a little bird chirping
Yeah.
away and telling, Tedros, hey, maybe you should lean into the idea of her playing to her personal side, her being
Mm.
more authentic. So I say all that to say what it brings us down to. Chloe is a fascinating character. And again, when the show is focused, Nine, when it has these more personal character moments and not worrying about how we're gonna, get these viewers uncomfortable with someone getting eaten out in a public place.
Right.
These moments here is when like you can see the writing on the wall. Now you can see the show is like it's trying
Hmm.
to break out of these molds
Yeah.
of being a terribly written
Weird show,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like moments like this, characters like this, writing like this is what gives me hope that there is
Mm-hmm.
something. Is you wipe the dirt
And
off with this turd, it's something under it.
someone in the chat said, oh, we
Yeah.
got Film Age Studios in the chat too. Shout out Film Age Studios.
Shout out Film
Um,
Studios. Man.
and someone in the chat said something like, we got, I could go on the internet and watch porn, but
Yeah,
like I want to watch a
very easy.
story, and and
Very
yeah, you
true.
cut that
Very
out,
true.
and like, but the thing is, if you cut all the weird, porn stuff out, then this whole 3 episodes would have just been one episode.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah, the porn stuff, like there's only one or two instances where it's like the sexual side of the show is touching on a character moment.
Mhm.
We talked about Jocelyn harming herself, doing those pleasurable moments and stuff like that. But everything else has just been strictly for shock value, in my opinion,
Right.
which I totally agree with you all about. Quick shout out to a super chat from Godness. With I don't know if it's a comment attached to it, but thank you so much, number one, for being here and joining us, but supporting the channel on that
Yeah,
level. I
good
really
looking.
appreciate you.
That's
Thank you,
what's
thank you,
up,
thank
from
you.
Canada.
Yeah, man. I was from Canada too. I didn't know. Oh, shout out to Canada, man.
That's what's
It's
up.
a place that's on my bucket list now to go. One of these days, man. It's just go up there.
You ever
But
been to Niagara Falls?
Nan, I'll never forgive myself, Nan. So for 2.5, almost 3 years, I lived in upstate New York, Rochester, New York, to be exact, and I did go to Niagara Falls. And if you're familiar with upstate New York and Niagara Falls, literally just I don't know, right across the way is Canada. Never went, never went to Canada, man. It was right there,
Mhm.
literally just crossed the border, man. It's a lot of moments where I'm just like, damn it, E, why didn't you just venture over and explore Canada, man? It's definitely
Right.
on the
You
bucket
know
list, man.
what? Forget all that. Go to Zimbabwe. Go to
Zimbabwe,
Zimbabwe.
yeah,
See the actual wonder of the world,
there you
and
go.
go to Victoria Falls.
Hey, I'm gonna put it on
It'll
the
change
list,
your
man.
life. It'll
I'm
change
gonna
your
put it
life.
on your list, man. I'm gonna put it on the list, my friend. But as we move on, my friend, we get down again. It's almost like uh, the game is being played. We see that a lot again. The Chloe one's the most like I'm 50-50 on if it's genuine or disingenuous. But Tedros, anything he does, I'm like, yep, scam, fake, nothing real. But he's able to stick his, he is a vampire, not maybe to the literal sense, but he sticks
I
his
think
his
he
his
is like
fangs. Well,
a
he's in the daylight
vampire.
nine, so kind of unless we're following the
I know.
folklore of
I already
vampires, he's
know.
out in public. You know what I'm saying?
I'm still
He's not in the
sticking
day.
with it. Or
You can
he's the
see his
devil.
reflection in the mirror.
Okay.
But hey, he might be a vampire in
If it
training.
comes out at the end of the season where he's just like, fooled
Yeah.
you, gotcha, then
Maybe, yeah, maybe he has like a spell that
I'm
can,
gonna. You're right.
keep from evaporating the sun and stuff
He
like
has
that. We'll see.
vampire qualities
Very
because
much
he's
so. And
creepy.
those vampire qualities on full display in this scene, man, because he's talking to Xavier and he's looking for Xavier to give him a BS answer regarding like he's the creative head and he's like creative is trash and he's like do you agree? And he's like, yeah, I do agree. And he's like kind of caught off guard because everyone else has been kind of doing the Hollywood thing where it's just like, yeah, I love my job, no, I think it's pretty good, but he's like, no, it is pretty trash. And he goes into depth
Mhm.
about whenever he comes to them with an idea, Jocelyn shoots it down, or one of the other managers shoots it down, or the label shoots it down. So he comes up with the idea, Nine, that that infamous photo from episode 1 that didn't really disrupt her career or anything. If anything, it made her, I don't know, more famous, maybe in a certain extent. They should use that photo and use it as an album cover as they do Coke together. Now, first off, album covers, I don't know how big album covers are nowadays, in my opinion, now, because people don't buy albums, they don't buy CDs. Of
Right.
course,
It's
it's
all
out there. Like if you
streams.
download something, it's the first thing you
Hmm.
see. But it's like, do album covers sell records, Nine? I don't know. Again, I'm not in music like I used to be back in the day, but like I say all
You
that to
know,
say, even if it isn't a popular thing, you're not putting a, a shot like that on in the public
yeah,
to
it's not
see.
going to be on like Apple,
Yeah,
just on Spotify or whatever as the thing. Like, there's going
yeah.
to be alternate ones. And speaking of Kanye, I think that like he had a problem with that too, with his
Mm.
Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album was
Yeah.
like had like
Very
even it
provocative.
was like very like kind of like artistic, like it was
Yeah,
like a painted
yeah.
like naked woman or whatever,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he couldn't even have that like in Walmart or in Target
Yeah.
or whatever to sell records. So
Not to
who
sidetrack the
knows?
conversation now, but do you remember buying albums at like Best Buy and Target and Walmart for like, what
uh,
was it, 29.99? Like, god
I
damn.
remember my older sister and my parents buying albums. Like by the
Yeah.
time that like I was like, oh, I'm going to actually, I'm kind of like Jack Sparrow, so I've been a pirate from a young age.
What was it?
So
Was it LimeWire? Was that the big one
it
back in
was
the
the
day?
LimeWire, right? And it's like you
Making
download a
personal
song and it's
mixtapes.
like
Yeah.
it's Soldier Boy like again. Like
Yeah.
they'll fill you just to continue.
Wait till you get a load of this music.
Right.
Yeah. No, we all had those
Holiday
moments, mixtapes, man.
season. Yeah.
Yeah. DJ drama. Yeah, man, that takes me back. I think the first album I ever bought with my own money was 50 Cents. Speaking of Kanye, if you remember, I don't know when it was, but Kanye versus 50. It was 50's
Oh, it
second
was
album, The Massacre versus
the graduation.
Graduation. Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
first. I bought
yeah.
both of them, from being honest.
Oh, okay. All right. You're
Yeah,
like,
but I was
I
like
can't lose.
$60. Yeah, that was
Right.
crazy, bro. It's crazy. Anyway, the scene 9 is Xavier and Tedros kind of being on the same side, kind of having a bonding moment, which kind of perfectly leads us into, speaking of bonding and this kind of broken family of these characters. We have a scene between Isaac and Jocelyn, and they're in the recording booth. He's singing his song or whatever, and he's just not feeling good about it. It almost like Tedros is in the back of his head, like, again, it's not perfect. We saw him last week doing a whole shock collar when he was thrusting in the air, but he's not hitting the notes he wants to. And it kind of pivots over to, again, yet another, which I think the show, when it actually sits down and talks about some of the kind of hypocrisy, not hypocrisies, but kind of the lifestyle of some of these artists, how they use tragedy. He brings up Robert Plant, who infamously lost his son and made a song about it and whatnot. And he used that pain to write what they consider to be, and I would agree, one of the greatest songs that Robert Plant has put out there. I don't know, man. It was like conversations like this, and it's another conversation at the dinner table when I'm like, if this was the show, this is it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, now, what did you feel about this scene with never saying no? And this whole idea, going back to your question earlier about being a content creator, is like, do I make this video even though I'm tired and don't want to? I might not be in the right space, but this might be the best video I've ever made. If you're a
Right.
music artist, like, I just lost a parent or I just lost something important to me. Should I pour it all out into music? Like, I thought that was a very fascinating conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Like I like this, and it's it's weird for me to say. Like I do like this episode. It is
Yeah,
it's a
it's the best
solid
of the season.
entry
Yeah.
of the show, and then this little hangout spot that they got going on. I was just like, this is kind of like cool a little bit, right? Like everyone's just kind
Yeah.
of like jamming out. What but then it like kind of shifts to like more cult worthy. And right before I came on, I actually tweeted you that the conversation it lands on is like say yes to everything. I was like, it's the dark version of Yes Man, the movie
Yeah.
with uh, my man Jim Carrey and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like if Yes Man took a dark turn.
Very dark.
Um,
Yeah.
but just to see like these talented people just kind of like getting together and then jamming out and like critiquing their own work and like kind of uh you know putting themselves out there. I think that's actually like a really cool thing, right?
Yeah.
But the circumstances around how they got there is just like really weird and messed up, which I
Yeah.
like that dynamic in the show.
I agree, man.
And yeah, this is it was good. It was good.
And again, it's again, then where it stems from, like you mentioned, the whole saying no is because of the converse of the, like, how Tedros has pushed him to kind of believe that, saying no is a no and they should just always be down, especially for his orders. So from that, and then pivoting over to, like I said, just taking yourself out of the scene and just thinking from it from like an actual human, conversation about when, and I've always been someone that you never know, the opportunity that you said no to could have been the biggest opportunity you might have missed out on. So like, even at this moment, even though this show has yet to like thoughtfully provoke me at any sense from these 3 episodes, this episode to me had the most intrigue, the most like actual genuine, like these feel like actual people. Versus the other 2 episodes, just feel like what this is, this fantasy la la land, and not like actual reality. So yeah, it's like this scene, man, really stood out to me. Followed by, which I think is, and also too, they have a scene where saying no, Jocelyn challenges Isaac to kiss. I can't think of the producer's name, but to kiss her, and he does that. And then he said, "Oh, well, would you do that if Lila was here? Leia was here?" He's, "Oh, yeah, I would." Which, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't he? They're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't blame him for his answer. But the whole thing from Jocelyn was like, someone you're romantically involved with, wouldn't you feel bad? Like, no, if this is the whole thing of saying no. But then 9, I think it might be a little foreshadowing, when Jocelyn says, "Well, what if I told you to kiss me?" He says no. And the reason he says no is because Tedros would kill him. Now, I don't know if that is going to be a little thing that she's going to keep in her back pocket, if we are assuming that Jocelyn will break out of this vampirish trance that he has her in. And he's going to say, "Hey, come over here, Isaac, give me a little kissy, rubby dubby, whatever," and using that line against him because he knows that that's a line that can be crossed. So she has some, again, I don't know how smart Jocelyn is, but calling Tedros gay, challenging his masculinity, gets on his nerve. His number 2 or Isaac, wherever position of power he's in, if I get him to kiss me, that might break down the group from within. So does Jocelyn, Nana, is she taking notes? Is she keeping this in her memory bank to use this against Tedros at some point later down the road?
I mean, that's the problem that I have with Jocelyn the most. Is like, aren't you at least a little bit curious or inquisitive? Like, why? Get back to your 5-year-old self and just keep on asking, like, why? And I mean, that's the same thing that Tedros does later in the episode. It's just like, he's trying to dig deep, right? Why is he the only person that is allowed to dig deeper into someone's feelings and psyche and everything?
Right.
Why is the question that Jocelyn should be asking everybody else, especially when she has a moment in this this moment. Sorry, I was just
you good, bro.
Doing damage control. I do PR too.
Man of many talents, ladies and gentlemen.
What? Hey, I don't got a chain though. Now I'm it really matters, and it feels like then it's just like Jocelyn is just like way too gullible, right? And that's what I don't like. I don't like how gullible she is, or like how easily Tedros was able to infiltrate into that.
You make a lot of good points, Nan. Again, this episode, if any, have showed me that I think we talked about it maybe in episode 1, that maybe this whole gullibleness and kind of, turn a blind eye is maybe purposeful, that she is, this whole thing of like self-destruction. Mother recently passed away. She's directionless. She doesn't know where to go. I'm hopeful, 9, because because she has a moment in this episode when we get to the dinner table, which was the best episode to me, or the best moment of the episode, besides the one we just talked about, when she says to him, you just got in the industry. I've been doing this for 10 years. So when she said that line to me, now that almost gave me a sense of like, yo, she's very assertive. She's very intuitive. She's very aware of her surroundings. She allows people to think that she's dumb, which might be part of her whole shtick of like, stereotypical blondie, one ear and out the other, not paying attention. But that's her superpower. It's just she can blend in and pretend that she isn't paying attention. Like I think of episode 1 when like she's looking up at her and she cuts it on when she's at last week's episode at the video shoot. She cuts it on. So I think she has an inner 9 to step up for herself, stand up for herself. But I think she also likes blending the line of being kind of on the edge of like, is she here? Is she not? Is she fading in and out? Which might speak to, the conversation we're going to have about her mother a little bit here in a second. So I don't know. I'm giving her more benefit than a doubt than what the show is giving me. I think that Jocelyn's very, very aware of the surroundings that she's put herself in. But I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think she's forming to be an interesting character where it does seem like, okay, the people around her has done her a little bit wrong, and she
Mhm.
wants to break out
Yeah.
of that system a little bit, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, is this really, out of the frying pan into the fire? Is that really what you want to do? Or is she really playing this game like where she knows what she needs and what she
Yeah.
wants to like do to be able to, bring her artistry up?
Yeah,
Like,
man.
you know what I mean? She knows that she's going to be like forging diamonds when she's out
Mm.
of the frying pan into that fire.
I think
I'm not
so,
sure.
man.
I'm not
I
sure.
think so because I'll say this: I'm obviously not an artist in the music industry, but I would imagine the ones that have been around for the longest time, that they are able to sustain a level of success for that amount of long, let's say a decade. You don't just make it an industry if you're just a stereotypical pushover to a certain extent. There is some, obviously there are artists that have been taken advantage. Like I think Lil Wayne, when I found out that Baby was like that whole situation with Baby and Wayne, he had his rights to his music. It's like, wait, how
Hmm.
you've been doing this for how long? And you've been getting how much out of this whole time? It was baffling to
Hmm.
me. So there are many artists that get taken advantage of in the industry. I mean, that's why Chance the Rapper, never signed with a label. It's all that stuff in the industry where people do, I think, understand that there has to be a level of like playing into it and just kind of allowing the industry to kind of take over their moral compass. But then at the same time, I think there is a moment where these artists do have to step up from themselves and they are fully aware of what they put themselves into. It's like you made the bed, you're gonna lie in it type of thing. So we're
Hmm.
gonna see her resilience hopefully in the next coming up. Based on the trailer, it looks like she is gonna snap out of it at one point. What that moment's going to be is going to be interesting. But I'm hopeful that Jocelyn's going to step up and really let everyone know she is someone not to be pushed over. But
Hmm.
before we wrap up, Nine, because this is the best scene to me in this entire series, the dinner table, because there's some depth there. I want to go over to the comments, man. We got 114. We're an hour and a half in. It's 10:52 on my end. Y'all are awesome.
Same here.
Appreciate y'all being here and being engaged in the conversation. I'm gonna pull up. I saw comments, a lot of great comments. I'm gonna get to them here, but Film had said something that I appreciate. Film Age Studios talking about. Honestly, the discussion is elevating this episode for me. I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it and hear y'all vibing out to it. And this is why I got Nine on. This is why we're doing this, is because we can have these comments. Like this show, it could be very much on a service level. Like a lot of, I've seen a lot of criticism of the show, and rightfully so for some of it. But I think some people don't look at it at another lens because they're just automatically turned off by it's not working for them, and they just look at the show in one perspective. But this is why I got my man Nine on here to have these type of insightful, in-depth conversation for something that we're making a mountain out of a show that might not have a
I
lot.
mean, this
But
is
this is
the
the fun
reason
part,
I
man.
enjoy watching the show. This is
Yeah,
why I
man.
enjoy it. So,
Pulling
so
stuff
yeah.
out of it, man. It's always fun, man. And shout out to Nisi's a big supporter of the channel. Hey, Elliot, I can't with the show. Hey, we understand these. It is not for everyone. It is not the best written, but Nisi, I don't know if you got a chance to watch tonight's episode as me and Nyman break it down. This was a pretty solid episode. First 15,
Yeah.
20 minutes was rough, some very rough patches.
Weird things.
But as we move on to this house of broken characters, we got
Yeah.
some good stuff tonight, Nisi. So again, I'm not saying that this is the best show on TV by any means, but tonight,
Solid
Nine, I think we
episode.
can. There's a little bit of something there.
Solid. Yeah.
There's
There's
something
something
going
there.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Nisi. Appreciate the super chat there. But let's wrap this up, Nine. Like I have in my notes here, the first actual in-depth conversation that I talked about the scene that we just talked about the whole scene in the booth or whatever, the music scene about saying no. But this to me, like collectively, consecutively for 10 minutes almost, this is a great scene, Nine. The conversation gets brought up regarding, first off, Jocelyn is thanking everyone, or in particularly Tedros and Chloe and the whole crew. She's like, I'm very thankful for you all. You've given me hope. You've shown me happiness because I haven't had this in so long. So, she's found her family essentially. Then we get into this conversation now where Xavier is kind of, promoted or not pushed up by Tedros. Say, hey man, let her know what we talked about earlier, and he lets her know that the idea is to use that shot on the internet and use it as the album cover. And Jocelyn's like, well, it's not a bad idea. but I don't think it's the best idea because of I want to be taken more seriously. And then this is another like industry conversation, not only from like music, but like movie stars, directors, like anyone within the entertainment industry. It's that boundary of like allowing the internet to shape a narrative and to play along with it to create your persona versus you taking agency and creating your own legacy,
Mm-hmm.
creating your own narrative. And how Jocelyn, going back to our conversation about, is she really that numb to what's going on? She's like, no, she's very aware they're capitalizing off of this situation. The internet,
Mm-hmm.
about certain outlets playing to her like, oh, she's a woman, she should be able to do this. Like, even those people that support me are taking advantage of me. So
Mm-hmm.
that line, I've been 10 years in the game line, those are moments that shows me that Johnson's is aware of the ins and outs of everything going on. But I don't know. Now, this was such an interesting conversation, and it gets a little, I don't say tense, Phil, but Tedros and Johnson kind of butt heads. Like, okay, you
I,
talk about
I'm
super music.
I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And
This was a conversation now. And before we get to the dark parts of it with the mother reveal, but what did you think about just that? And the joke. This was the funniest episode too. The comedy worked. The whole picture that we know, what was out there, new music coming soon. Like little things like that. I'm like, yeah, doom, doom. I don't know.
Right.
Now, what did you think about this conversation and Jocelyn talking about the capitalization of the photo and Leia almost being like, well, the internet was on your side? Like, what did you think about that, man?
Let me say that like this is where it's like Lily Rose Depp actually sold me on everything. It's like, yeah, go on, do bigger, better things after this. Because I think her
Yeah.
performance and like her line delivery on this was actually pretty phenomenal. And it's very interesting when they could let the tension build, right?
Yes.
And when we're talking about a scene where it's officially like we are family now, like
Yep.
it's a new
Yep.
family, they're toasting to it, right? And she's like thanking Tedros for what I thought was interesting. The words that she used was having so much fun. I've never had so much fun, right? I think is what she said.
I believe
But
so. Yeah.
and so like again, like what does this all mean for her, and how is this becoming more and more of a catharsis
Mhm.
um for her character to be around these new people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how aware of like the insidiousness is she of it, and with Layla being there with like again like when you're like saying like when she said that I've been in the game for 10 years, it was like Layla is the first one to be like, yeah, damn right, truth,
Right. Yeah.
truth,
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm
Yep.
like, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So Layla's still like just so much on her side, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
again like what speaks to like why I like her character quite a bit. But I think uh good on the show for having like a normal like good character moments,
Yeah. Yeah.
good
Yeah.
on the show, because I did not think that this type of thing was coming.
I didn't think it was possible, not because
Coming.
not only that, and to go back on your comment earlier in this breakdown, Tedros, nine. So as we pivot over to like this bond and them having just like I said, a normal conversation. It wasn't zip zap. Let's be inappropriate. Let's be sappy. Let's be provocative. It's like this feels genuine. This feels like a group of people
Hmm.
obviously living in a much lavish lifestyle than myself in the back of this $1 billion house, eating probably the best food. Well, I don't know where they got the
Hmm.
food from because she don't got
I mean, yeah,
no
she
chef
probably
anymore.
forever,
They might
right?
have
They
ordered
Uber Eats it,
right, or hey,
Door dashed it.
Tedros, a man of many talents,
Right,
potentially.
right, right,
Yeah,
right.
I'm joking. But the conversation gets serious now because this is where Jocelyn is very self-aware that her music is not what she wants it to be. It's not, she wants to be taken seriously. And like you mentioned, and I can't believe I'm saying this again. I mentioned how Tedros was right in the situation of maybe calling out the chef for getting a little bit too handsy. But then when he's like, why? because that is a question that I would want to know. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, why do you feel like that way, Jocelyn? And he was able to, whether it is his culty ways, his manipulative ways, he was able to in front of all these people where she was like, I'm good. I don't need to share that right now in front of all these
Mhm.
people. It was like, well, if you consider us your family, especially Leia here, why do you feel like your music isn't, you don't take yourself too seriously? And he gets it out of her, man. And like, she's pushing back about him being new to the music industry. And I really love that she stepped up for herself at that point, because it is very true. Again, this is the second time in this episode where she told Tedros, hey, ain't no babies in me no time soon, bro. And here, like, checking him, like, okay, Tedros, I'll play your games
Right.
for a minute, but I've
We're
been
not
doing this a
there.
lot longer. Exactly.
Mhm.
So, and I think you hit the nail on the head where, like, when I'm watching this now, I'm like, I'm sitting up in my seat, like, because you feel like I didn't think anyone was going to, like, throw water or stab someone, but I'm like, yo, you feel the
The
tension.
tension is building, right?
Yeah, man, I loved it. And we see Xavier takes Tedros' side. We see Leia takes her side at this moment, and we're seeing kind of the lines being drawn. But then she takes it a step further. And she says she doesn't feel like she's relatable. Her situation's relatable. And this is where
Mhm.
we get the big reveal. Me and you talked about it in episode 1, where we assumed that her mother was an integral part of her life because it's what set her off. It took her down this mental breakdown, but we didn't know if her mother was like a good influence, because we hear a lot of these stories of parents that put their kids in music and movies early, that sometimes is not always great. Sometimes the parents are trying to live through their kids and they push them too far and they don't allow them to be kids. But it's pretty much revealed in this scene now that she, as they call her, she was a rare breed. And we learned that in order to make Jocelyn focus and to stay motivated, she would beat her, hit her in
Mhm.
spots that wouldn't be noticeable, which I have in my notes here. Excuse me, which I have in my notes here. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Is that a little bit of insight of why she punishes herself when she's pleasuring
Right.
herself? Does that anything to do with her mom?
Yeah.
Like, is that
Yeah.
tied to that trauma? So, and there's much more to go into it. She stopped doing her chemo, and Tedros says, "Do you feel disappointed that she's not here to motivate you in that way?" And she says, "Yes." I mean, nine, man. Like I said, I don't want to speak hyperbole, but this is what I was hoping the show was going to give us. This type of writing, I thought it was great, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I do want to pause. The most like recent comment said, from CC Baby. I haven't watched yet. Will this contain spoilers? Oh, honey.
CC,
Oh, baby.
sorry to spoil you, my friend, but we're about an hour and
Yeah.
40 minutes into spoilers. So yes, this
Oh,
is a spoiler
baby.
from CC, baby. But listen, if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it, my friend. Check it out and come back and join the conversation. Or if you don't care, I mean, by all means, sit down and
Hmm.
enjoy the festivities. But yes,
Hmm.
if it hasn't been known,
It
then
will be
we are
spoilers. Hit that
definitely
like
gonna
button,
spoil
though. Hit that like button.
for
Like and
sure, for
subscribe.
sure.
Absolutely do all that.
Shout out
But
CC, baby.
yeah, that was a very interesting turn of events, right? Or I mean, not turn of events, but we were able to like surmise that. Of course, she's dealing with the loss of her mother. Last episode, another like probably the best scene of the episode when she was calling out to her mom, and
Yeah,
she
it
was
was
kind of
tragic.
like you know breaking herself on stage to kind of fulfill her what I think is actually her mom's um, ideology that's kind of been, I mean, day daybreaked into her.
Yeah, good point.
um,
Because we were thinking
and
it's Tedros, like, you can push yourself down. No, it's her mom that would have been
mhm,
like,
and
"Get
her
it in,
mom.
or I'm gonna hurt you." And maybe that's
S-
explains the glass
So,
breaking and stuff. Yeah.
so is this a situation where it's toxic just to toxic? Like, is she just has been groomed basically to accept these toxic people into her life, right?
Yes.
And I thought that was like, okay, this is getting a bit more interesting, and that's like building up with the tension. And I'm
Yep.
okay. One thing off note, this motherfucker's sitting at the head of the table, and it just does not sit right with me. It
Literally.
doesn't sit right with me, especially
Yeah.
with Jocelyn sitting off to the
Off to
side,
the
right?
side. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that's like a little bit more like, you know, uh, what the cinematographer
Oh
or
yeah. Very
hopefully
purposeful.
maybe that will be in the script or whatever, or
Hmm.
the set design. But
Hmm. Hmm.
I thought that was like a really great like uh uh it's really great to see that, like, that's literally like, oh, I've taken control now.
Yep, full control.
This
This is
is
my boat.
now my house,
Yep.
right? If you're sitting
Yep.
at the head of the table. Um, uh, and the way that he's leading the conversation,
Hmm.
um, we already know that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 people on his side. In the most recent fourth, he's also manipulating, right?
Right.
Because we know that he asked Dude to like go off and do some coke with him, right? And who
Yeah.
knows what
Yeah.
type of like conversations that they had
Hmm.
while doing that, when he was buttering up, kind of like drugging him up. And if we kind of juxtapose that to what Jocelyn is going through, he's already setting it up to where, oh, I can push this to where she will see the actions of other people on her team being not in her favor, not really truly in her corner.
Yeah.
She lets up a little bit when she says something like, oh, a little bit more apologetic for his actions when she's like, oh, that's how he would react in like a very messed up situation,
Right.
right? So
Right.
she has like this like card of empathy that she's like, all right, I'm not going to burn you like I did my chef earlier, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll give you this saving grace. And I thought it was pretty interesting for that.
It was very interesting, man, because he, as you kind of alluded to, he's buttering up Xavier to sell this pitch of the album cover, which again, I don't know if that's if he no like I don't know if him saying that to Xavier was like he knows it's a bad idea for the brand, but like yeah, go ahead and say it to self sabotage again, breaking her down from the inside.
Hmm.
Yeah, pitch this good idea, and I'll play along with you because it is your idea. Whether it's that, and then to have Xavier to look at Xavier and say, wait a minute, y'all knew about this and didn't do anything about it,
Hmm.
or Xander.
Xander, yeah.
Yeah, Xander.
Voices
Y'all
in
didn't.
Espanol is always like, I know, I've seen him all the time during like our
Yeah,
weekly discussions. I
he's a
like
grammar
you.
expert. I appreciate it.
I like you,
Uh,
buddy.
Xander is called out because, and also Leia. Now she didn't. I'm surprised that he didn't lean into Leia as much as I would have thought because he's always been on Leia, like calling her this, that, and the other, and pointing out her flaws. I'm surprised he didn't lean in heavily into Leia. Like, why didn't you stop it? You supposed to be her best friend, and you allowing this type of behavior. But nonetheless,
Hmm.
man, he points out. I think, as you kind of alluded to, Nine is like at this point, maybe Jocelyn's realizing the people surrounding me haven't been there for me like I think so. Because why haven't she stopped this? Why didn't they stop this behavior for my mom? Which even gets even more in depth when Tedros again just dives deeper. The trauma, use it to your advantage, as well as do you miss that beating that your mom used to give you? And she admits and says, yeah. So it's a lot of character stuff, character work that we get in this moment that I really thought like if the show just were to lean more into this would be something that we would be really diving deeper into and really enjoying. But it's just too far in between. But I'm hoping that this is just a stepping stone to for more of these type of moments. But unfortunately for me, I don't know how you feel about it as we wrap up the episode 9. He tells her he has Leia go to bed. Freaking Isaac is like, yes, master, and takes her away. He tells Jocelyn to go get that brush, and she says yes. She
The
goes
episode should
upstairs.
have cut there.
The cut right there,
It
Nye,
should have been
because
like
good
right
gosh,
done.
we proceed to see them cutting between the morning after him bathing her and the night before the morning as we see that he takes the brush, and I don't know why Xavier's there to watch this.
I thought he
Oh,
was
by the
also
way,
doing it.
I might have to. Well, I don't know
I
if
thought
I'll
he was
rewatch it.
like,
He might have not. I'm gonna have to skim through this little screenshots here and see if he does. But and also, someone mentioned in the comments. I do agree the music was great in tonight's episode. The two singles that we got from the weekend, I thought
yeah,
were pretty solid songs, and it played
hmm,
perfectly into a lot of the scenes. But
right.
the scene 9, we cut to seeing him using that brush on her. And for a minute there, 9, I'm assuming that he just did what her mom did, which was spanking her on her on her butt. for a second, Nine, and maybe I missed it. Maybe it is what I thought in my head. I thought that he was using it as a sex toy on her for a second there. But correct me if I'm wrong. He was beating her. He wasn't using it in a sexual nature. Correct.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, but they kind of like, I
But
think the
it
show
was
is so
kind of
weird. Where it
you
is kind
felt
of
like it was kind of
sexual because she
sexual.
like grabs the bush and she like comes out with like, I mean, the style and like the lingerie that she had on. It's like
Yeah.
obviously supposed to invoke some type of sexual arousal or whatever. But like,
Right. Right.
I mean, with the scene that we just got, and then to transition it to that, I was like, and everybody's watching. Weird. Uh,
Very weird. It was
but I
almost
mean,
like a
that's with
like
Isaac, like the last episode. I was like, okay, yeah.
yeah.
So this is something that it's like the initiation trial.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That's part of the once you do that, allow him to I guess be so involved or so connected. That's a moment in which you're fully in the gang now. You're
Hmm.
fully in the Tedros gang.
And I really like the shot too. This again, I was just like, yeah, same with like, yeah, it makes
Yeah,
everything
it's a
very
group.
dynamic and interesting.
The music, the shot selections are great. It's just again the intentions of the scene of it's just like I don't need to see all of that to invoke this particular moment. But again, to speak to the moment, we end with her again beautifully shot. And I just it's just like you just want Jocelyn to get out of this
Can
toxic
Are you
situation.
able to go back to that again?
To the
Just because
photo.
I was just thinking about, yeah,
Yeah, here let me find it here.
because if we remember in the last
Let's break it down.
episode,
Professor Nine,
and I'm
y'all.
not
Professor
sure if
Nine.
we were talking about this on the last stream or if it was my stream, it's blending all together. But the thing about this is that the last episode ended with Leia looking at uh Tedros,
Mm-hmm.
and her face was also like obscured, like half illuminated, half in
Mm-hmm.
the darkness. And I took that to mean that, like, oh, she's on the fence about everything. She had just like hooked up with Isaac or whatever, but she
Mm-hmm.
seems to be like looking at him kind of like still half on the fence, half everything. So I'm wondering if they're kind of like alluding back to like this
Oh yeah.
uncertainty where it's like, okay, she is, you know, still on the fence.
Yeah,
The
like she's
character
in
of
the sucking
Jocelyn,
place. Like she's like
right?
trying to get
Yeah,
out of this trance
and
almost. Yeah.
and she's going to be like diving a little bit more, and like
Interesting.
that we're looking at that shot with the perspective of like, are we ever going to get it like fully in the light, or if we're going to
Right, right,
get
right,
her
right. Or she gonna get
fully in
into the
the
darkness.
darkness,
Yeah.
right? So
Good point, man. Nah,
wondering
that's
about that.
very, very much
Or I might be giving them a lot more
we're
credit
giving the
then.
show a lot more credit than it deserves, Nine, I think. But we're gonna play along with it here as we break it down with our late night discussions here. Yeah, man. No, I think you're onto something, Nine, because as someone's bringing up in the comments, it is very true. Every episode has in it in somewhat of a ritual type of situation. Episode 1, you can sing now. He cuts the hole out of the cloth, but she can breathe. Episode 2, as you
Yeah.
just mentioned, the singing ceremony of you know broken family traditions or songs they sing at night, to the brush scene. So I think it is very much intentional to this extent, and I think you're on to something. I'm thinking of Sam Levinson, the director, the creator, the auteur from Malcolm and Marie, Euphoria, Assassination Nation. Like, I know some people aren't the biggest fan of his work, and I understand why. But there is a level of genius to his work. I will give him some credit for that. Like, I do think he is a very auteur director when focused, when he has a certain reins held down to him, so he doesn't go too far into his Sam Levinson isms. But I think, to your point now, that this is very intentional. This is very a symbol of things to see from Jocelyn. One foot in, one foot out. It's like she's the good angel, the dark angel. She's, again, we talked about it. I think that she is very aware of this being a very toxic situation. But based on the conversation you mentioned earlier with her, allowing her mom to kind of plant that seed in her to allow herself to put herself in these situations, because Tedros might be a mom 2.0 in a sense of like pushing her to her limits. So I think it's a little bit of like, she's, as he said it at the dinner table, you got to take risk. And I think she's allowing herself to be abused from her mother, be abused by Tedros, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's verbally or physically, because it gets the best out of her. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
And
interesting,
again,
man.
I'm only saying this because yeah, I'm familiar with like Sam Levinson's work. He is very much into color theory. If you watch Euphoria,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
is
yeah.
all
It's very
about like
intentional.
the yeah, very intentional about all
Yeah.
of his framing and the colors and lighting that he
Yep.
uses. So that
Yeah,
that
man.
shot, I was just like, oh, okay,
Like I
maybe there's
think
a little
one
bit
of the
more to it
best,
going.
coolest shots, well, two shots as we break down Sam Levinson's filmography. Euphoria season 1 with Rue on the floor and going up and down
Mm-hmm. It's twisting, yeah,
that was one of
yep,
the coolest shots I've ever
great,
seen in my life,
fantastic.
especially on television. Season 2, the season 1 premiere, when Jules and Rue were seeing each other for the first time at the party, and it was like cutting in and out of their faces. I'm
Right,
like,
yeah,
this is the
exactly.
most creative dude
Ex-
on HBO right now. So, like, again, I know people aren't,
exactly.
and rightfully so. He does have some moments where it's just like, can someone talk to him and sit him down and tell him this
Right.
is
Yeah.
not good
Get
writing?
that guy out of the
Yeah.
bathroom and let him come back to set.
Yes, that was very purposeful, ladies and gentlemen. The guy that's locked in the bathroom is probably still in the bathroom, episode 1. That is purposely letting y'all know that whoever controls him is in the bathroom. But no, there is a genius to Sam Levinson that I really appreciate, and I think it sometimes gets lost in the sauce because of sometimes the way he approaches the story. So no, I think you're totally right on the symbol at the end, and also the fool is if we're going all along with this transformation, this kind of baptism of a sorts. She's new. I think this is
Hmm.
the new Jocelyn, at least for the coming weeks. Like I
Hmm.
think she will fully be invested in the whole Tedros experience, and I don't know what it's going to take. Leia being hurt, um, Diane coming up, behind her back, the label dropping her. It's going to take something for.
Hmm.
First off, where's her dad? We talk about her mom a
Hmm.
lot. Where's her dad in the situation? Where's
Right.
does she have any? It's going to take something for her to realize that she needs to snap out of this. Maybe it's going to be him actually like physically harming her in a way that's not sexually, intended to be. So, but right
Hmm.
now, nah, she's fully invested into this experience. As we see from the shot, she tells him, "Thank you for taking care of me." As we end the episode.
Hmm. That was this shot right there. Like scared me a little bit. I was just like, ooh,
Yeah, it is
those look
very
like
scary.
kind of like dead eyes and
Yeah,
like very fully invested. The
yeah.
baptism was successful. She's initiated. So we'll
She's a vampire.
see. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, as me and Nine just broke down for you all, and we're going to continue to be live for 10 to 15 more minutes. So for those that are watching the breakdown, join us every Sunday, man. As you can see, me and Professor Nine pull out as much as we
Professor
can
Nine.
from these episodes, even if it's not really there. But this is why we do it, man. So definitely, before we wrap up the breakdown, like, share, comment, and not only support the channel here, but support my man Nine Nerd Yards. His links in the description of this video. You guys have been awesome. We'll catch you on the next breakdown. But for my live audience here, wrapping it up, ladies and gentlemen, do you all agree with me and Nine that this is the best episode so far? It's been a rocky start, Nine. The first 2 episodes were damn near, was about to jump off the ship. And as I talked about episode 1, I was going to give it 3 episodes. There was enough in this 3rd episode, 9, that makes me want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way? And like I said, everyone in the chat, do you all feel the same way? Are you going to continue to go on this ride for the next 3 more weeks? Because it's only 6 episodes. Let us know in the chat. But to bring it back to you, Nine, was there enough meat on the bone for you tonight to say there may be something that's going to wrap up in a satisfying way?
I mean, I'm here, I'm here
Yeah,
now,
right.
right? And then
Right.
this one had to be the saving grace, right? Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one had to be the one that was like, okay, all right, let's go. And to be honest, if this was a 10 episode series, I'll be like, okay,
That would have been
maybe I'll
hard.
catch up
Yeah.
and
That was
like
a tough pill
read
to
the
pop.
memos like 4 weeks from now or when it's done, kind of like
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
highlights or whatever.
yeah.
Watch your video about the season after, and then yeah, just let you suffer through this, and then
Yeah.
I'll just watch your video after. But yeah, no, we're here now, and 3 more weeks. Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, we
And
can push it through. We
I
can
think we're
we can
ready.
stay in this torture cult and see what it all plays out. Because I will admit, Nine, the trailer at the end of the episode was pretty insightful. And again, I don't know if they I'm trying to think back to the previous trailers. It seems like all the trailers have been like an overview of the season, not like directly what's going to happen next. Because
Yeah, I
last
think
week's
that I was expecting
yeah,
some
yeah,
scenes from the
I think,
last week's preview that I
and
watched
there,
were
yeah,
supposed to be in this. Um, you know, and they played with us a little bit
yeah,
because
yeah,
last week
yeah,
when I saw him, I was like, all right, give me the gun. I was like, okay,
exactly.
things are about to be popping off
That didn't
this
happen. Yeah. So I
episode.
think they're
But
definitely
yeah,
just giving us cuts of the full trailer and just cutting it up and just keeping
right,
us on our
yeah,
toes and not know, I guess, what to expect.
right.
Which if this was a more well-rounded show, that would be pretty exciting. But at this point, all the scenes that we're probably seeing is probably in the last episode.
Hmm.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully it's spread
Yeah.
the wealth. But I agree with you now. I think there was enough here tonight. And you're so right, man. We're already here. We might as well go to the wheels fall off.
Hmm.
And hopefully it pays off, man, because again,
Yeah.
I think Sam Levinson is so interesting too now because just thinking of his work, all his work has had a female lead. Everything he's ever done, at least that I've seen, Assassination Nation, female driven. Malcolm Marie was, co-leads with Zendaya and David Washington. Euphoria is female led. So a lot of his work tends to focus on that. So I would hope that Jocelyn will have some type of redemption,
Hmm.
clarification type of moment, and not just be completely done with it from Tedros's,
Hmm.
web of lies or whatnot. So I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful, bro.
Hmm.
I'm
Keep
hopeful,
that
man.
hope, man. Keep that
Yeah,
hope.
man.
Yeah.
Uh, if you guys have any final comments for us before we wrap it up, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. Now, man, what's going on 9 Nerd Yards? Are you guys going to be interviewing Donald Glover this week? Are you guys going to be talking
I
about,
haven't landed the
what's
Donald
going on
Glover
this week, bro? What's going on this week?
interview. Yeah, this week, I'll be doing another live show with the talking about the Idol on Wednesday, and it's a lot. I can't say it's like a lot more different than this show, but we usually have like a panel of like maybe 6 people, and
Yeah, no, it's
we
fun. You
all
got
like
yeah, yeah,
we're all like talking shit and
yeah,
like
yeah.
roasting the show. And I play like full clips for us to react to. So, and if it gets taken down, it gets taken down. So YouTube kind of hates me a little bit, but we would love to support if you want to come through and hang out with us on
Yeah, man.
Wednesday. That's 9:45 Central, maybe a little bit later for start at like 10 Central, 11 p.m. So we do a little late show. And yeah, I might mess up and show some titties on the screen for like half a second and have to like back away. So who
No
knows?
holds
Who
barred over
knows?
there, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So definitely check them out, man. Are you guys so for you, Nine? I'm trying to think. What came out this? Oh, The Flash. We'll have a
Haven't
little
seen it.
movie talk before we wrap up. The Flash has been getting some pretty bad commentary online. I got my review. I enjoyed the film for what it was, but do you plan on
Mhm.
checking it out at this point now, or is it like I'll wait till it
Yeah,
drops on
I
Max?
don't think I will actually see it until like maybe next weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see it, but right now, like I think like everybody on my team at 9 Nerd Yards has actually been has seen it this weekend, so they
Oh wow.
might
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sans 9 and just have them on the show. So like go and support that if we get that arranged up there. Uh, but yeah, I'm excited to see it. Like the Flash is my favorite
My
superhero. Like
third
if I
favorite.
had
Yeah.
any superpower, I think I
Mhm.
would want like the Flash's like
Flash's
speed
abilities.
force. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
man. He's
on one.
There's certain comic book runs, certain animated, like the Flash is OP9. Like
Mm-hmm.
if he fully, leans into his abilities,
Was
it's
was
pretty
the
pretty
infinite
cool.
mass punch punching someone infinite amounts of time at the speed of light.
Come on, man.
Like,
Phasing through
come on now,
people's
you're
chests. Like, come on, man.
right. Like he is so OP.
Yeah.
And I think what I've heard is that like they lean into that a little bit. Like they don't make him like crazy, but like it is
No,
like a
there's
good
some pretty
Flash
cool.
movie. I've
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, no, there's some stuff that I appreciated from the character. I still think there's some inconsistencies from like the Barry Allen I used to know growing up from the way Ezra plays it. But no, from a power standpoint, yeah, the stuff is on full display. As you probably have seen, the visual effects unfortunately kind of take people out of the scenes, and I totally agree with people with that. When I
Mm,
saw it
mm,
last month, I just attested it to. They told us at the beginning of the screening that the visual effects weren't finished and the film isn't completely finished. So I
mm.
was kind of lenient, but then when I saw it when it was fully finished, it's like, nah, those look
Yeah, they
exactly
didn't.
the same. They didn't really.
Right, right.
I don't know how much you've seen online with the director Andy Muschietti saying that, and I actually said this, and I did a spoiler review with a friend of the channel's Griffin from Film Speak. Like I had said, like yeah, I would assume that some of it is meant to look kind of off because we're looking at Barry Allen's perspective of like if he saw someone going at that fast of a speed, you're not going to
Right.
see a face clear as day.
Mhm.
But then there's some other scenes now. It's like, nah, that's just bad visual
Doesn't make
effect
sense.
through and
Yeah.
through. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I enjoyed
And
it, man. I enjoyed it. And I'm a
uh
big DC fan, so I had to
and
support it.
Supergirl like looked like I thought it was like great. I thought I
Bring
was
her
from the
back.
trailer. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
the
man.
Supergirl looks great.
She's awesome. She's not in
Yeah,
enough for me, but she's awesome, bro. So
yeah. From
yeah, man. Again, and I know some people at home that's probably watching might not support, which rightfully so, with so many different things behind the scenes, especially with Ezra Miller. So I respect that. But for what it was worth, I enjoyed it for what it was. But as
mhm.
far as I also saw, what else did I see last week? Oh, Indiana Jones. I don't know if there's any indie fans out there. Nine.
Mm,
Growing up as a kid, I wasn't the biggest Indiana Jones fan. I liked the character, but wasn't in love with the character like a lot of people. So leading up to the screener, I watched 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm telling you now, I love Indiana Jones, bro. I am a
mm.
full indie head at this point. Saw the fifth one, shot the review today. I'll probably put out sometime this week. I really enjoyed it, man, and I'm a big fan of just the franchise as a whole. Like I've found this newfound love of this franchise has been around for
Okay.
35 years. So I don't know. Are you an indie
Yeah.
fan at all? Are you excited for the fifth
Yeah,
one?
I actually do like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
And uh, yeah, shout out to Harrison Ford for
yeah,
still
man.
doing that stuff in his
Still
old
do his
age.
thing. Hmm.
And yeah, like what when I know it's like a summer blockbuster, then I kind of just like let my reservations or whatever to the side, and I can have fun. Like I had fun. It's been a while since I watched it in theaters, but when
Yeah,
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, like everyone's like, "Ah, this is trash," and I was like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of, I kind of had fun watching it or whatever. But then I
yeah,
saw the other. It was actually the first Indiana Jones movie I saw. So then I watched
yeah,
the other ones, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I get
yeah,
why
yeah,
people like don't
bro.
like that one."
I'm gonna. As a kid, I wasn't into any. Listen, I can understand, but I really enjoyed it. And yes, the OGs, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Doom, and Last Crusade. I have fun watching those, bro. Like
Hmm.
Harrison Ford, charm, and I already knew this because I'm a big Han Solo fan. But I really enjoy the character. I love the kind of over the topness of Steven Spielberg, the magic, the adventure, the score by
Exactly.
John Williams. It
Yeah.
sweeps you all in. So
Right.
yeah, I had a whole new perspective on indie, and I really enjoyed the fifth one very much so because they lean into because my biggest reservations nine was like, okay, listen, no ageism here, but Harrison Ford's pushing 80 years old, Indy's old as hell. How am I going to believe this man is fighting Nazis and jumping off of things that? But they actually lean into the idea that he is older, that he can't do the same things that he used to do as a young man. So they lean into that a lot. And it's from the director James Mangold, who did 4V Ferrari, 310 to Yuma,
Mm,
Copland,
mm.
but more importantly, Logan. He's the director of Logan.
Oh.
And the same way he played into Logan's old man Logan story, he's not the
Hmm.
same, superhero he used to be with X-Men. They do a similar type of story driven focus on Indy at his older age. So I enjoyed
Right.
it, man. I
Yeah.
really did. So check it out,
Yeah.
guys, when it comes out in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. And I'll end on this. I know you're a Marvel fan like I am, Nine, and there's probably some Marvel fans in the chat. I saw the first two episodes of Secret Invasion,
You
which
did?
that drops on the first episode drops
Oh,
on
I'm
Wednesday.
really excited about that.
I'll I'll say this. Episode one was okay. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Episode two, fire.
Fire?
Fire.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Like
Like
it's a show.
it's good. It's going to get better. It's going to get
Yeah,
good.
and
It's getting
it
good.
was just my personal taste. Episode one that did, and I'll talk about it in the coming days. But I thought it could have did a lot of things better. But episode two is really where it's at. But collectively speaking, if you guys are familiar with Secret Invasion, Skrulls infiltrating every inch of the government, and they definitely lean into that of like the idea of like who's a scroll, who's been a scroll this whole time. Is it one of your favorite Avengers? Is it one of your favorite characters? And they definitely lean into that. And there's some really great cat. I mean, Samuel Jackson, legend, GOAT. He's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Olivia Colman, great. And I'm a Game of Thrones fan. The Mother of Dragons, Khaleesi,
Oh
Amelia Clark making her
yeah.
TV debut since this show
Yeah.
in. I
I
really
love
enjoyed
Amelia
her.
Clark.
So
Yeah.
it's a really intriguing show, man. I'm really excited for people to check it out. And get their thoughts on it, man. So definitely, if you got, because I think I forgot it was coming out. If I'm being honest with you now, because all the summer blockbuster movies.
Yeah,
But
so much. Yeah.
episode, and also one last thing, they're almost an hour long now. They're not this 27, 30 minute bull.
Oh,
They're like an hour
thank
long
you. Thank you,
episode,
Marvel.
and not
Thank you.
13 minutes of credits. So
Yeah,
yeah, man.
exactly. The
Yeah,
13 minutes of credits after every single one
yeah,
of these Marvel shows that are like 20 minutes long and then gotta wait. Oh my God.
yeah, man. It's
Ugh,
fun, man. I'm gonna
okay.
be
I'm about
really
to like
interested
10 hours
to
up.
see
Yeah.
people's thoughts on it. And listen, now you know the door is always open, man. I'm gonna probably have some type of, and I know you guys will probably be covering it too, but
I'll
definitely the
probably do
invitations out there.
it.
If you ever want to join, I'll do some show on it. But yeah,
I'll
man.
do videos. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Um,
those actors getting up there in age.
Oh, I was going to talk about because the Netflix whatever conference that they had, a bunch of new stuff is coming out.
To them,
You, uh, the
yeah,
this, why do they call it that? But yeah, I know that you're not like super big into anime, but
anime, yeah, One
the
Piece and
One Piece, yeah,
Avatar.
we were talking about One Piece, I think, sometime in the stream, but like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
One Piece, it actually looked pretty
I was gonna
good.
say, from a
Looks
fan,
definitely
did it look
different
good to
or
you?
whatever. Looks
Yeah,
very different, but I think that like they, if you're going to make something as outrageous as One Piece into live action, then from
yeah.
the trailer, I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. But
Because I know
now,
some people were nervous about Cowboy Bebop. Wasn't everyone's jam, so they're a little bit
right?
nervous about Netflix
Yeah,
doing another anime.
I didn't like Cowboy Bebop, but
Yeah,
hopefully, like this, they know what's up.
lessons.
And I think the origin, like Ichiro Oda, who has been writing this story out for
Mhm.
25, 30 years or whatever, actually like has been deeply involved
That's
in the
always a
process.
plus.
So
That's
that's
always
why
a
I'm like,
plus.
okay. And he says that like, if he's not signing off on anything if he doesn't like it. So
Good, good.
I think we're going to be in for something good. But the one thing about the Tudum
Mm.
is that uh, 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 there's a show called The Three Body Problem.
I've been waiting for that show for a while because I'll let you go. This is from the creators
Are
of
you a
Game of
fan?
Thrones. I haven't.
Have
So
you know
when I
Have
heard that
you
this
read the
was a show,
books?
I haven't read the books, but I did a little research of like looking up because when I heard they were going to be doing a show after Game of Thrones, obviously we all know the debacle of the final season, but people forget there was excellent television after they, before they abandoned the book. So knowing that it is based on source material, I think they adapt things pretty
It,
well.
and
And from
it's
what I've heard
finished.
of the book,
It's
it's
finished source
yeah,
material. So, and I'm going to tell
yeah,
you this right now. If I know you're a busy guy, but if you have time, read the books. But
okay,
if you have less time, listen to the audiobooks
audio, okay.
because
How
I
many
know
books are
that you
there?
like science fiction,
Love it,
Elliot.
love it.
The best science fiction I have ever consumed in my entire life. I read it a
Wow,
couple years ago
okay.
and I think about it like a lot. Like I think about all of the concepts that they introduce, everything that they do. Um, and I don't want to like spoil anything. But if you watch the trailer and if you haven't read it, like it probably
I saw
just
the
looks
trailer.
like outright
Yeah, it's
insanity
like
and like craziness.
yeah,
And even like maybe the CGI is looking a little bit off in it,
it look,
but
it
it
look clean.
looks off for a reason.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's a very important reason and it blows your mind. It's an
You selling me,
incredible
bro.
story. It's an
Listen,
incredible story.
on a scale of, let's say, Frank Herbert's Dune, on a scale of the Foundation, which I know are like big sci-fi fundamental
It's there.
stories, is it
It
up there?
it's foundation, or I would say Dune is like my all time favorite like
Yeah,
science
yeah, yeah,
fiction,
yeah, yeah.
and then this, a three body problem.
Okay, man, you
It
selling it
is
now? You selling it,
that
bro?
cold. I'm
I'm gonna have to look into.
saying, man.
And I saw the cast. Wong from Marvel. It's a lot. It's
Perfectly
like yeah,
casted.
yeah, Benedict
Perfectly
Wong
casted.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it
Hmm.
more, man. Well, I might. So I might actually do the Game of Thrones thing, which I still haven't done. But I was like, let me watch the show and then read the books. I still haven't read the books yet. But I don't know if it would. I don't say ruin, but I don't know if it'll taint my experience if I read it or know what's coming before I see it come. I don't know
No,
which.
I'm saying listen, like at least listen to the audiobooks.
Okay, okay, okay.
They're very well narrated. And like understand that like they are Cixin Liu, who wrote the books, it's Chinese. So like they translated it into English and they translated it beautifully. They got someone that's like a very like scientific science fiction writer to like actually translate it into English. um and then the person that is narrating it is like phenomenal. But
Mhm,
what I gotta say is that like this isn't just like science fiction, it is
mhm,
like hardcore speculative fiction.
mm,
So when there's some parts that you're going to like experience or like read about,
mhm,
and you're going to be like, okay, let me flip that back, because
mm.
if they're saying what I think they're saying, that just destroyed me. And yes,
I'll
Miss
say, yeah, you
Kenya,
got two more questions.
I do watch Demon Slayer.
Finale
And
was today, it seems like. Finale today,
oh,
OMG, so good.
yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up. I'm gonna have to catch up to Demon
Interesting.
Slayer for sure. But yeah, Three Body
But
Problem. Uh,
I'm gonna have to look into it, bro.
I hope it literally takes the world by storm, just so
Yeah,
I can be like that guy and be like,
I
no,
was
no,
there.
because like it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
That's dope, bro. I hope it does. I mean, I'm a big science fiction advocate, so more science fiction of the better. And I hope that I know they've been tainted for the Game of Thrones experience, at least from the audience perspective. So hopefully
Hmm.
they've taken the battle scars because that was what
Yeah.
2019, and they lost the Star Wars
Hmm.
project because of that. So hopefully they've been in the lab cooking something
And I
good, man.
remember, like, I've been tracking this project for a while, and I was like, I remember
Yeah,
hearing it was like, oh, D&D,
I
they're
hope
going to
they
be
stay
the
in
guys.
it.
But I was like, you know what? The story's finished.
Yeah.
And
So they have a
when
map.
they are dealing with that, what the stuff that's already written,
Yeah,
they're
they've
fire. They're
that
great.
thing's
They're
phenomenal.
really great
Yeah,
at
dude.
adaptation.
No doubt,
Hmm.
bro. And listen, I'll say this: if Netflix has proven me anything, my favorite show of all time is actually on Netflix, which is Dark. I don't know if you ever saw Dark. Nah, I talk about that show
Oh,
ad nauseum. The
y-
greatest science
I, I, I,
stories. Oh my goodness, bro!
I
Time
do need to watch
travel
that.
at its
I feel bad for
finest.
not watching Dark. Yeah, so
You would love it.
I need to
You would
check it
love
out.
it, bro.
I need
Three
to check it out.
seasons, 10
All
episodes
right.
each season. It's fantastic. So Netflix tend,
Hmm.
I mean, they got a lot of crap, but they
Yeah.
sometimes hit us with the bangers, bro.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, so that was cool, man. Stranger Things had a brief mention of Linda Hamilton being casted in
Hmm.
season 5, which I'm a big fan of hers.
That would
Shout
be
out to the
crazy.
Terminator. She's gonna probably be like Harper's sister or something, like a badass character or something.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and what else did they do? The new Gal Gadot movie they showed, Heart of Stone. I think that was about it. There's a couple other
Hmm.
big announcements besides the anime,
Screenshots for Avatar: The Last Airbender.
the Avatar stuff. Yeah, Zack
Which I was
Snyder's
like, okay, still need to see, a
some
trailer
action,
or something,
right?
right? And
Movement.
yeah, the
Yeah,
movement,
yeah,
if they're going to actually land it. But
for sure,
I
bro.
think I remember like Zuko looked pretty cool
Yeah,
from what
yeah.
I saw. Dark is yeah, so Dark
Dark,
is
I'm
bomb.
telling
So
you,
I'm gonna get into Dark just when I know that I'm like gonna really get into it.
you put
I
your foot
heard
in that water nine, it's hard to get out, bro.
Yeah, I heard that there's like maps that may have to like actually look at, and and then yeah, I'm really intrigued
It's
to
a
get
show
into
that you're
all of
not on
that.
your phone, you're not on your tablet, you're not doing
Hmm.
anything else. You're locked in. It's that type of
Hmm.
show. But yeah, man, Oh Dark is so good. No one really talks about it because they listen. I talk about it. I got all the season reviews on my channel. I had like a 3-hour stream talking about it. So I love me some
Mm.
Dark. It's unfortunate that the creators 1899 wasn't as good as Dark and it got canceled. But they
I
have another show
heard,
with Netflix.
and I was like,
Some monster show.
I was like, I have not watched Dark,
Hmm.
but if this is a new show, then I'm going to start checking it out.
Yeah,
Got a
yeah.
couple episodes in, literally got the thing or notification or saw it that like
Canceled.
it's not gonna second season and the
Yeah,
story's going to be incomplete. And I was like,
it is a
all right,
very incomplete show.
okay,
It is very incomplete
I'm
because it
not going
ends
to
on
even
a
do
cliffhanger.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, man. But look, man, me and Nine can chop it up for hours, man. I'm not gonna keep my man too
Probably.
long. Definitely check him out on 9 Nerd Yards. He got a lot of great content to look forward to this week on his channel. So definitely subscribe. As I mentioned, I'm going to be talking Indiana Jones later this week, Secret Invasion, and it's unfortunate I don't have Hulu anymore. I might just get a 7-day trial because season 2 of
The
I'll
Bear.
say the menu. The Bear is coming out on Thursday, and I reached out to the reps for screeners, and they unfortunately they said due to spoilers, we don't want the show to be given out. Which I'm like, I didn't know this was Marvel, but okay.
Right.
I'm
Like,
gonna, I don't know. I had Hulu, but I had it with my cell phone service, but I got like a new plan, so they ended that for whatever reason. So I'm gonna have to find a way to check it out because I love the Bear. They drop all the episodes at once, so it's not I don't have to sign off for too long. But I'm gonna hopefully be checking that out. And everyone in the comments talking about checking out Black Mirror season 6.
Good, yeah. I
gotta
got a
watch that.
script. I got like literally every episode like in script form, like or to make a video, and I was just
Oh, you gonna
like,
be making content for it?
yeah, I think I'm not gonna cover like every episode. I think I might
Yeah,
just like do something like, oh, this is the best episode, this is the worst episode,
gotcha,
just because
gotcha.
like covering every single episode would take just too long for me to put that together while it's still relevant, you know.
Yeah. And I know everyone's talking about Silo, which I think has one more episode. The finale's this week, and I know they got a green light for season 2, so I might have
Oh,
to.
really? I did
Yeah,
not imagine that to be a show that has 2 seasons, but yeah,
Apple
sure.
need. I mean, that's what I love about Apple. They give their creators at least the leeway to tell stories. Like I
They got
finished
the
all
money.
of Servant. It didn't stick the landing for me, but like the fact that show made it 4 seasons is ridiculous. C made it 3 seasons, so like they at least give their storytelling. That's why I hope that 1899 was going to maybe go over to Apple. Lovecraft Country, Misha Green. I hope that she was going to go over to Apple. Let her finish her story. So shout out to Apple, man. They allow their creators to create.
They got the money. Yeah,
they got the
trillion
money.
dollar company. They better like commit
Like
to something.
Apple TV, Apple's so big because they sell phones and all their other products. Like this is like a passion project. It's like, oh y'all want to make the foundation, which someone asked earlier. That's next month, like July 24th or 21st of season 2. Oh, you want to make a $1 trillion TV show? Go ahead, have fun. How much is it? Blank check. I love Apple. They let people do
Right. I love it.
But wrap it up, Nine, again, bro. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see what next week has for us. Definitely looking forward to the content you have on your channel this week and all the great stuff you have lined up for the people. And one last thing, yes, Raised by Wolves, Apple, pick them up.
Raised by Wolves, yeah. That should have been, finish season 5 of Westworld too. Let's get that final thing.
I never got into Westworld, and I saw the movies.
Watch the first season, and then
no, I watched them all season 1, and I never got back on the train, man, because I just wasn't hooked.
If you watch all season 1, you could probably just stop there if you're not like a movie fan. But like,
But on that note, you guys are awesome. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Deuces.